hear the word coffee, they conjure up visions of a ceramic mug in the palm of both hands and a woman slowly sipping. This isn't a Folgers commercial. It's for Capuchin Holy Roast, and here's how I take mine. With a dash of vanilla, a pinch of cinnamon, a spoonful of honey, and lots of heavy cream. Add some ice, shake, and then enjoy, while knowing that's $6 the libs at Starbucks can't spend to ruin my life and yours.
Capuchin Holy Roast in whole bean or grind is available at shop.mychurch.com.
Hey folks, it's the KingDude. You know that thing that you just can't cook without? You know, the thing you call your bread and butter, or should I say, your beast and butt rub. Now, my seasonal is quickly becoming a kitchen essential for hundreds of American families. And how do I know? Because they've told me so. It's perfect on veggies, eggs, popcorn chicken, and of course, pork ribs and butts. Make every meal a KingDude masterpiece with a sprinkle of flavor that you can count on. Grab yourself a bottle or better yet, a six-pack at shop.mychurch.com.
We don't work on Sundays, and you shouldn't work on Sundays, but our priests work every Sunday.
And we literally thank God for that, because who else could turn a lazy Sunday into a spiritual adventure? We invite you to spend your Sundays with our priests on Sermon Sundays, exclusively on the Crusade channel. Get timely, seasonal, inspirational, and educational sermons from Catholic priests, all wrapped up in the best Catholic sacred chant music that's so heavenly, it might just make your halo glow. That's Sermon Sunday, where faith meets fun without missing a beat.
Catch all new seasonal sermons every Sunday morning, 6 a.m. East to 6 p.m. exclusively here on the Crusade channel.
And now, for the first time ever, those soul-stirring sermons you soak up on Sunday are available as podcasts Monday through Saturday on Crusade.com. Because even divine wisdom needs a replay button. And who wouldn't want a holy encore to kick off their week without the risk of divine intervention for hitting snooze?
You can learn all about today's Saint of the Day in the Saint of the Day podcast at crusadechannel.com. Now, a look at more of today's headlines. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz joined the chorus of Democrats squawking about the Trump administration's strikes on Iran, leading to brutal mockery on social media, including from those on the left. Blowback was varied, including by Michael Rappaport, known for his anti-Trump commentary. He slammed Walz by retweeting a response to the governor from an Israeli diplomat. Iran started this war 47 years ago when they took American hostages. Honestly, can people crack open a book before posting nonsense? Wrote someone whose bio includes time at the Israeli mission to the UN. Rappaport went on to take issue with critics of the Iranian strikes and condemned those who remained silent as Khamenei oversaw mass murders of tens of thousands of dissidents in recent months. I'm glad that old bag and his entire regime are gone, he said. 72 virgins have got to deal with that bull. Now, good luck, ladies. He added in a message on Monday. Will this affect your Somali kickbacks? Asked Representative Randy Fine, a Republican from Florida. And others criticized alleged hypocrisy involving Walz's prior meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and his tweet at the time that Minnesota stands with the people of Ukraine as they fight to defend freedom and democracy. Reverend Jesse Jackson's son was none too pleased with former Presidents Joe Biden, Barack Obama, and Bill Clinton for using the late civil rights icon's memorial service to take shots at President Trump. Jesse Jackson Jr. said the grandstanding Democrats didn't really know his father after they used their eulogies to bash the president, his policies, and his vision for America during Friday's send-off. Yesterday, I listened for several hours to 3 U.S. presidents who do not know Jesse Jackson, the grieving son, said at Rainbow Push Coalition headquarters in Chicago. Clinton, who kept his eulogy mostly free of politics, remembered Jackson warmly as a good friend. Trump did not attend the memorial service. I'm Janet Huxley for the Mike Church Show and the Red, White, and Dude Nation, because ethics in broadcasting matters.
You're listening to the Crusade Channel, a Black Hat Studios media property, broadcasting live 24/7 from Madisonville, Louisiana, and to the world via crusadechannel.com.
this is interesting. New Iranian dictator, same as old Iranian dictator. New evil Ayatollah, same as old evil Ayatollah. Ayatollah, you so. Here's we get underway here on the history-making week of March the 9th. We are live. It's the Mike Church Show here, and we are glad to have you with us asking the question of the day.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
Well, I'll tell you.
In order to ensure the security and continuing stability, the Republic will be reorganized into the first galactic empire. For a safe and secure society.
Fire that! No, you can't!
So I'm calling on Congress to pass these reforms, and I'm going to sign them in the law.
You want to bet?
You called down the thunder, well now you got it.
You tell them I'm coming, and hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
Alrighty, our call-in line telephone number if you'd like to be on the program today, 844-527-8723, 8445 Email address same as it ever hath been, KingDude at mikechurch.com, KingDude at mikechurch.com. Crusader Stadium, Mike Church Show chat room, open at crusadechannel.com/chat. It is a Monday, so we should check in with our flight controllers and make sure all of our systems and new systems are a go.
Apollo 13 flight controllers, listen up.
Red, White, and Dude Nation flight
Go,
controllers,
no, go for launch.
chat room,
Booster. Go. Retro. Go.
video,
We go fly.
Guidance.
podcast,
Surgeon.
Go fly.
Ecom.
Or go fly.
podcast.connect,
Tell me.
go,
Control.
Go fly.
transom, go,
Inco.
Go.
automation,
FAO.
We are go.
Maggie,
Go.
Recovery.
Go.
Capcom.
We're go fly.
KingDude.
Launch control, this is Houston. We are go for launch.
This is day number 9 now of the Iran war that did not have to happen. And the longer this goes on, the worse it gets, and the worse it's going to get for you and for me. So we will mix this into the program. I was surprised, pleasantly surprised by how many people reacted to Frank Wright's interview on Friday. The commentary is still coming in. It seems. I received an email this morning from someone. Let me just tell you something about your Frank Wright interview. Here's what Wright got wrong. I'm like, okay, man. So the developments that are occurring here in the Iran theater, if you will, you have to really do serious due diligence on this stuff because there's so much out there. There are so many people now that are, what do you do? I'm a podcast journalist on X. Oh, yeah, that's a great title. Yeah, that's going to work out really well for you and for people that read you. You have to plow through an awful lot of madness and silliness, and some of it is just outright conjecture, fake. In order to get at what is, or try to get at what is actually happening here. And what is happening here is what your humble host has been telling you for about 2 decades now. Xerxes the First is in the book of Daniel, I want to say. It's one of the older books in the Old Testament. Xerxes the First. Who is Xerxes the First? The king of Persia. Why does that matter? Persia is as old as one of Noah's sons. You can't find a country on earth that is older than Persia. Except wherever the first places were that Noah and his sons, Japheth, Shem, and Chem, may have settled. It's as old as Earth history itself. There are 96 million souls that live in Persia, and today they don't call themselves Persians anymore, they call themselves Iranians. 96 million people. You know, the very idea here that the United States of America is going to be barking orders out and is going to control somehow the destiny of 96 million people is preposterous. It's stupid. It's silly. It's dangerous. You're talking about egomaniacal, and yet that is exactly precisely the case that's being made. Can I just say to you, I keep the TV on and I was in here working on, by the way, welcome to the new Red, White, and Dude Nation. Feel free to go to MikeChurch.com. It is now new, completely and totally remodeled from the ground up and open for business. And make sure you check out podcast.mikechurch.com, because that's where the real new thing in media is. There has never been, for an individual radio or television show of this sort that does a daily talk show, there's never been a catalog chronicling of that show as seasons or as years. But we have done it. Now, when you go there, I'm just talking about this out loud now, because you guys are in the soft rollout. We'll be working all week long on troubleshooting all of your support tickets. TKD, I love the thing, but I found this episode wouldn't play, we'll fix them. We'll knock them out. And going through all of this, because I'm in here all day long Saturday. I work from 5 a.m. till 9 p.m. Saturday, yesterday, until about 6:30. What does Tommy Lahren know about war and war policy? So people are going, who Tommy Lahren, the guy there? Exactly. What does Kayleigh McEnany know about war and war policy? What does Greg Jarrett know about war, and the art of war, and war policy? And the list could go on. What does Levin? Get off my phone, you big dope. Who was basically crying last night. And I was in here and I was watching, and he came on, and I'm like, what? Dude, why are you crying? He's crying tears of joy because finally Israel has taken out the great Ayatollah. The only thing is, Israel has not taken out the great Ayatollah. There's a new Ayatollah. So, in any event, visit MikeChurch.com. There'll be some more changes we're going to get to here as the week goes on. I'll be telling you all about them, so enjoy. Yesterday, it was reported by the New York Times that they're now being called the coalition forces. Someone in the Trump White House is going to, the coalition forces have banded together, have now struck. Coalition forces? What is this, World War III now? I thought Trump promised us we weren't going to get World War III. We have the axis of evil now, which Iran's at the center of it. Sound familiar? And now we have coalition forces. It won't be long. They'll be calling them. They'll start calling themselves the Allies. You know what's going to happen? Go fill your car up today if it needs gas as soon as you can. Leave your house right now and go do it today, because oil is about to spike yet again. Last night, Israel American forces destroyed Tond-Goyan oil refinery located south of Tehran, and multiple storage depots. And you can see there's video all over the place now of this oil refinery just blazing. the biggest fireball you have probably ever seen. Now, for people that are watching this with popcorn and Diet Cokes on Fox News, and yeah, boys are getting over there. They're taking that boat out. They're taking that damn Iranians out. What an irony! Just 2 weeks ago, we were cheering USA for the men's USA men's hockey team, and now people are like, I don't want to cheer USA because I want out. I want them to get out. There has been a gentleman's agreement, I am to understand, amongst all of the governing powers of Earth. If you're going to have conflicts in the Middle East, one thing that you are not allowed to do, and this is the gentleman's agreement, you're not allowed to take out oil infrastructure. It's taboo. Don't do it. You might remember the outrage that was the neocon outrage back in 1991, when it was rumored or said that Saddam Hussein, because they remember Saddam invaded Kuwait, or supposedly invaded Kuwait, and then when George Bush declared that this aggression against the country of Kuwait will not stand, this aggression against the people of Kuwait, the Kuwaiti people will not stand. It will not stand. Remember that when Saddam's forces were chased back to Baghdad, that one of the things that he supposedly did on the way out the door was he set one of the Kuwaiti oil refineries on fire. And the world reacted with outrage. This was the catalyst for Gulf War I in 1991 and 1992. Because you're not allowed, you can't take out oil infrastructure. Saddam has crossed the thin red line, they said. And so Bush had to go in there. We had to take Saddam. We had to kick him out of Kuwait because he was setting infrastructure on fire. You're not supposed to do this. The Iranians aren't supposed to do it. The Iraqis aren't supposed to do it. The Jordanians aren't supposed to do it. The Israelis aren't supposed to do it. Nobody's supposed to set oil infrastructure on fire. Well, it has now been done. So supposedly, though, the dirty little secret is the Tongoyan oil refinery is what the IRGC, that's where they get their gasoline and their diesel. I did a little research on the Tongoyan, and let's see, where did I put it at? It processes somewhere on the order of 250,000 barrels a day of Iranian oil, but it is primarily used by the IRGC. Now, what most people don't know about the IRGC, and if you go to Coffee and COVID with Jeff Childers, you'll find out some of this. He's got a pretty good rundown of this. The IRGC is not just an army. IRGC runs oil, banking, telecom, agriculture, real estate, transportation, shipping, and even Tehran's international airport through its network of front groups and wholly owned subsidiaries. It's less of a military force and more of a Fortune 500 company with a rocket division. And then Childers posts ad. Iran's Revolutionary Guard's business empire. They have the Qatam Al-Anbiya construction firm with 20,000 workers. The Iranians' Mayor Economic Institution, financial institution with hundreds of branches. That's a bank. Iran Telecommunications Company, and more and more and more. That's what the IRGC does. What Childers' point is, and I'm going to start relying, I'll start reading from you from this and from many other sources, is that the calculus was made to break the gentleman's agreement to force the IRGC basically out of business. They can't get oil, if they can't get gasoline and they can't get diesel for their mechanized divisions, and then also for the people of Iran. Now, again, we have always told you, and have always been operated from the standpoint of, is this a just war or not? And the only way you're going to get to a just war, you have to meet about 3 or 4 qualifications, which have not been met. And one of the final qualifications is, does it bring about peace? Does it bring about peace? You can't wage a war. It's not a just war to wage a war, economic, military, or otherwise, against a sovereign people. If you're taking out the IRGC and all of its business functions, who are they selling the business stuff to? Who are they doing the banking for? Iranians. Who are they doing whatever else it is that they do for? Iranians. As we have always said, who gets hit by sanctions? The people. Who does not get hit by sanctions? Leadership. Leadership doesn't get hit by sanctions, regular, ordinary people. There's 96 million people in that country. All you're doing right now, in my humble estimation, is pissing them off and making them line the streets, waving Iranian flags and saying, yay, we got a new Ayatollah, same as the old Ayatollah. This seems to me to be madness. I'm not alone. Let's see here. Geiger Capital, or Jeffrey Tucker. Trump has been bragging about how cheap gas prices were across the country. That is gone now. Americans are about to see gas double. What a brilliant midterm strategy. Mega tweeter man Mario Nawfal. Okay, things changed in the last few hours, 10 hours ago. And not looking good for Trump. Here's why. Iran struck the Gulf countries hard tonight. I was not expecting that. New York Times just reported U.S. officials gave a closed-door briefing to Congress, estimating Iran still retains half its ballistic missile program and even more of its drone capabilities. The Strait of Hormuz is still shut. You know, I saw there's an animation somebody keeps updating. Like one ship a day now is going through the Strait of Hormuz. Global markets won't survive, and based on the New York Times report, they should easily be able to. All of this stuff is happening, and this is day number 9. What's going to happen to global oil markets if they keep going up? And look, it doesn't have anything to do with how much oil the United States has, or the fact that we could be or should be self-sufficient. That much is true. But the way oil is bought and sold and traded is a global market. Unless we're going to withdraw from the global market and we're not going to sell to anyone else, well, then you're going to be impacted by what oil is being restricted. They can't get out of the Middle East because it's got to go through the Strait of Hormuz. Here's another part of this that just seems to me to just be incredibly stupid. There is now talk. I don't know if someone's leaking this out or if they're selectively leaking this stuff out. There is now talk that U.S. and Israeli special forces are going to take the island of Karg. Now, many of you are probably wondering, TKD, what's a Karg Island? Is that in the movie Monarch? Is that in the Godzilla movie Karg? No, it's K-H-A-R-G. If you look at a map of Iran or the Middle East, look at the northern and westernmost part of the end of the Gulf, the Persian Gulf. That's where Karg Island is. Karg Island has been claimed as Iranian territory. You know what's on Karg Island? Oil storage. Literally, hundreds upon hundreds of oil storage. Those containers. Those ginormous white things that you see popping up wherever oil is stored that are round and about, 50, 60, 70 feet tall. There are 7 deep water, I forget what they call it, you have to dredge it out, basically. There are 7 deep water oil tanker filling stations, miles upon miles upon miles of pipelines. They run about 1.5 million barrels a day through Karg Island. Kill Karg, and you don't just damage Iran's economy. You cut off its lifeblood. You see, the mullahs never bothered building a backup. There's no backup. You take Karg Island out, you basically take their oil. Now, I don't know what you would do with it, and I would imagine that the IRGC, and however many tens, if not hundreds of thousands of soldiers they have left, are going to do everything that they can, number one, to hold the island, and number two, if they were to lose it, to take it back, which would only escalate the war. But if 1.5 million barrels a day are coming out of Karg Island, guess where most of the oil that comes out of Karg Island is supposedly going? China. It's going to China. So it is a island that's about 2 miles long and about 5 miles deep. That oil belongs to the people of Persia. Now, you can make the argument that's the IRGC. We're at war with the IRGC. Again, you're talking about 96 million people here. The unconditional surrender is ridiculous. You know, I was talking to my friend Jim yesterday, and I'm like, dude, okay. After Latin Mass yesterday, St. Patrick's, my friend Dee Dee comes up to me. She's a grandma, and she's crying. And I said, Dee Dee, what's wrong? And she goes, Mike, you have to tell me what you think about this war in Iran. And I'm like, okay, I will, sweetheart. And she said, I have 4 grandsons that are draft age. That's what's going through people's minds, folks. It's tragic. It's tragic.
You want your talk radio shaken.
Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned.
Not stirred.
That's putting it mildly, 007.
Truth never dies on the Crusade Channel. King-sized truth from radio-sized speakers.
This is a pixel.
I'm through.
If you put a couple of million of these guys together, you can make a sentence on an LED screen. Put a couple of billion of them together, and you can make a whole page. Put 360 billion, and you've got Joseph Pierce's A History of True England. But it doesn't smell like a history of true England, and it burns teeny little holes in your cornea. So, is the pixel really your friend?
I'm through.
No, Groot, but the Founders Trading Post is your friend. And we have actual books with actual smelly pages. Plus, our little bookstore has everything you'd expect.
I'm through.
Yep, we got Sacred Heart flags, Groot, but no to the One Tree Hill sappy guitar music.
Pick up a copy of Joseph Pierce's True History of England, plus a dozen other Joseph Pierce titles at shop.mikechurch.com.
Hi, folks, it's Mike Church, founder of Founding Father Films, asking you to learn the true stories of America's founding by purchasing my movie, The Spirit of 76. The Spirit of 76 details the true story of the writing and ratifying of the U.S. Constitution.
And here I would make this inquiry of those worthy characters who composed a part of the late Federal Convention. Sir, give me leave to demand, what right had they to say, we the people? Who authorized them?
This animated movie comes complete with collector's booklets, DTS surround sound, and is packed with hours of bonus features. Learn the true stories of America's founding and order Mike Church's The Spirit of 76 on a 2 DVD or 3 CD set. Available now at mikechurch.com/DVD and by calling 844-527-8723.
Art Bell's Father Malachi Martin interviews, Season 1 and 2, are now streaming on podcast.crusadechannel.com.
Hey, it's a KingDude with another free lesson in Stuff You Really Don't Need to Know. Did you know that the Carillon de Sacre Corps flag was first created in 1903 in the village of St. Jude in Quebec? Its history, however, can be traced back to the Battle of Fort Carillon between the French of New France and the British. The battle took place on 8 July 1758 at Fort Carillon, which is now known as Fort Ticonderoga. Here's another fact for you. The Sacred Heart of Jesus flag that we sell is the original merger of 2 separate flags. And did you know that our Founders Trading Post is the exclusive maker and distributor of this one-of-a-kind full-size, beautiful flag. Order a Sacred Heart of Jesus flag right now and take $5 off and get a matching Sacred Heart flag bumper sticker for free. Don't cost nothing. The Carillon de Sacre-Cœur flag will beautify any indoor or outdoor space it flies in, but supplies are limited. Order today at mikechurch.com/flag or call us at 844-527-8723.
Hey, Mrs. McGillicuddy, don't be a satellite radio snob and pass by the Mike Church Show. Come on in and browse.
May I help you?
Oh, no thanks, just browsing.
How long do you intend to browse?
Well, that lady there, you didn't ask her how long she intends to browse. How come you're asking us how long we intend to browse?
You don't look like browsers.
Now that that's over,
How about a Fresca?
the Mike Church Show, entertaining browsers and fans since 1992 on the Veritas Radio Networks. Crusade.
Who's zooming who? Hi, how you doing? Day one of the new Red, White, and Dude Nation. Dude numbers are back. If you ever had a dude number, I encourage you to go to mikechurch.com today, pull down one of those menus there, and click on the story of the dude number, which details how it ever came about. And at the bottom there is a form. If you had a dude number and you wish to retain it, you got to participate in the dude number census. The census. So it's a little form, name, first name, last name, email address, phone number, I think is optional, and what you think your dude number was. So we just want to know so we don't sell it to someone else, okay? So the dude number program is going to kick back off again, mikechurch.com. And click on the, I'll make a short code for that, mikechurch.com/dude, so it'll take you right to it. But for today, Mike, the all new Red, White, and Dude Nation site, mikechurch.com, you'll see it up under the menu. Okay, headlines. I don't want to upgrade. Iran's choice of leader signals defiance, oil price surge rattles markets. So the Iranians picked Mojtaba Khomeini, the son of the Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, or whatever his name was, as the new leader. This is basically new leader, same as old evil leader. So the Iranians did not take over their government. Remember the first days? And I say to the Iranian people, take your government, take it over. I told you this. They're not going to take this government over. You're talking about a bunch of Shia Muslims that many of whom don't have an issue with Sharia law because they're true believers. Yeah, but only 15% of them are radical. Dude, that's 17 million. That's 13 million people. Only. It's an army of 13 million. Another headline or something you keep an eye on. You know what the price of crude oil is today? I have the commodity market, the NYMEX, pulled up right now. $103.64 a barrel. That's the highest price since 2022. Of course, Trump and his cabal of Jewish warlocks and uber Zionists are saying that this is just a short trip. This will all be over in this'll all be over in just 2 or 3 more weeks. The people of Persia aren't going anywhere. This is so ridiculous and stupid. It is almost as though this is intentionally being done to try and crash the global markets. By the way, here's a headline for you. Want to hear a good one? There is a report that I'll read it to you. This is Shanaka Anselm Pereira on X. Breaking! Yesterday, I wrote the ships in the Persian Gulf were changing their transponders to broadcast Chinese owner and all Chinese crew to avoid Iranian attack. The ocean's rules have changed. The new rules were written in Mandarin. There is now a 30,000-ton Chinese intelligence vessel sitting in the Gulf of Oman, confirming exactly what those transponder signals already told you. The ship is called the Lia Wang 1. It's a next-generation signals intelligence and space tracking ship commissioned in 2025. It displaces 30,000 tons. It carries at least 5 radar domes and high-gain antennas capable of tracking 1,200 air and missile targets simultaneously with over 95% identification accuracy using deep neural network algorithms. Its sensor range reaches approximately 6,000 kilometers. It is escorted by Type 055 and Type 052D destroyers. It is parked in international waters near Oman, watching the war. China officially describes these vehicles as satellite tracking and rocket telemetry ships. That is true. They track space launches and missile tests. The plausible deniability is built into the design. The same sensors that track a Chinese satellite can track an American carrier. The same algorithms that identify a ballistic reentry vehicle can identify an F-35 launching from the USS Gerald Ford. By the way, the United States Navy ordered the USS Gerald Ford out of the Mediterranean, and it is hauling AS right now to try and get to the Persian Gulf. That's a reinforcement. So that left the French having to scramble a half a dozen or so of their ships to pick up the slack of patrolling the shipping lanes for shipping vessels in the Mediterranean. Are you noticing a pattern here? This is chaos. Defense analysts, back to the Shanaka Anselm Pereira. Defense analysts across multiple publications assess that Liaoning 1 is collecting real-time electromagnetic intelligence on U.S. and Israeli naval and aerial operation. Whether the intelligence is being shared with Iran is unconfirmed. No official Chinese or Iranian statement acknowledges data transfer. Well, what else would you be doing with it? That's me. But the ship's position, its timing, its capabilities create an interference that every analyst in Washington is already drawing. Consider the operational picture from Tehran's perspective. Iranian air defenses are 80% destroyed, according to the IDF. Iranian radar coverage is degraded. By the way, the Iranians took out the biggest radar base the United States had in the entire Gulf, in the Persian Gulf region. It's gone. It was obliterated. In Trump's words, they took it out on day one. National average gas prices. A year ago, $3.09. Last week, $2.98. Today, $3.47. Go fill up this morning. It's going to get worse. Consider the operational picture. But a Chinese vessel with a 6,000-kilometer sensor range sitting in the Gulf of Oman can see every carrier movement, every aerial refueling track, every missile launch corridor, and every submarine surfacing event and theater. If even a fraction of that data reaches Iranian commanders through any channel, the value to Iran's remaining defense is incalculable. China has not fired a weapon. It has not violated international law. It has not entered Iranian territorial waters. It has deployed a surveillance platform in international waters where any nation has the right to operate. And it has done so at the precise moment when the information that platform collects has maximum strategic value to the country the United States is trying to bomb back into the Stone Ages. The Cold War had a name for this: intelligence support to a belligerent without direct combat involvement. The Soviets did it for decades with AGI ships shadowing American carriers. China is doing it with a vessel whose neural network processing exceeds anything the Soviets imagined. You ought to see a picture of this thing. This thing is massive. What's that? You see it?
No, I can't.
It's at the bottom of his tweet.
I don't have his tweet.
I sent it to you.
Did you?
It's in Dreher. It's in the Dreher link to it. There's so many things that ought to piss you off and just make you scratch your head and join all of us in the war against neocons and rabid Zionism. This is insanity here. Let's go back to cases for just a moment. How in the hell did the Chinese get this technology? They stole it from us. Why didn't we do anything about it? Remember back in the 90s, what was the guy's name? Stole the Chinese dude stole, I want to say the blueprints on how to build a nuke. Was it Dr. Wenlo Park? I think the guy's last name was Park. Dr. Wenlo Park rings a bell. Well, where did the Chinese get the money? They make China. They make cheap textiles and plastics. Where did they get the money to put this kind of technology together? Well, first of all, they reverse engineered all their technology. They don't know anything. Second of all, where did they get the money? They got it from you, American citizen. Your government sold entire future generations down the river in 1996 when Bill Clinton signed that document making China most favored nation trade status. We talked about this last week. We talked about it last week. We talked about it 10 years ago. We talked about it 20 years ago. When Nazi Pelosi was doing it, I was opposing it. In 1996, I was talking about it. Your manufacturing base was given to the Chinese so you could get cheap trinkets to throw away at a Mardi Gras parade. Does that sound like a fair trade? So where did the Chinese get this kind of money from? How do they have this kind of a navy? They are an industrial power. The United States made China an industrial and now military power. The ships are, and then Pereira says, the ships are spoofing Chinese identity to survive. The Chinese intelligence vessel is watching to ensure it knows everything that happens next. The new maritime order is not approaching, it has arrived, and it is 30,000 tons of radar domes and neural networks anchored in the Gulf of Oman, seeing everything. I mean, you look at this thing, and I don't know how somebody got close enough. I guess somebody was on a sailing vessel somewhere out there, and they just took a picture of it, because people like him pictures. This thing is massive. You ever seen a Doppler radar station? You'll know it when you see it. You're driving near an airport anywhere. It looks like a giant ball, but it's sitting off the ground. I don't know why they built it or how many feet they built it off the ground, but they built them off the ground. That's what this ship has. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of those Doppler domes. It's absolutely incredible. Who is allied with the Iranians more, the United States or the Chinese, rather? The United States or the Iranians? Well, where does China get 80% of its oil? It gets it from where? Iran. You know what, Maggie? You should cue up that video that we played last Monday about the Straits of Hormuz and why they matter and why stopping traffic there is going to bring a global economic depression about, because you're going to drive the price of oil up. You know, the last time we had this issue with the Middle East and in Middle Eastern countries was when Carter was president, with the oil embargo in 1977 or 78, whatever year that was. And what was the result here in the United States? How did it affect you? I remember taking my Uncle Andrew's van and my dad's Lincoln, because they'd pay me like $10 to go do it, to go sit in gas lines. I'm probably the only one that remembers gas lines in the late 70s. Anybody else remember this? there was such a shortage of gasoline, people weren't going to work. This is how the whole thing about carpooling began. As a matter of fact, you know how we got the 55 mile an hour speed limit? We got it from a bill that was offered in the U.S. Senate by Ted Kennedy. We've got this problem over there in Iran and in the Middle East, and embargo in our oil, and we need to lower the speed limit. Lower the speed limit. It'll save Americans. Gas mileage will go up, and we can then starve ourselves slower. I'm not making this up. This is a true story. People waited in line. I waited in line as a 16-year-old. I waited in line for 3, 4, 5 hours to get overpriced gasoline. It was like $1.80 a gallon. This is in the 1980. Nuts. Absolutely nuts. NVTS nuts. I had the thing pulled up, the price of oil. It's steady there. It's going to stay at $103 an ounce. Actually, it was earlier today, it spiked at 116. 116.59 was the high, with the high water mark. It's down now. It's $102 and just a mere $102.43. Here's a headline from the Epic Times on all this madness here. Iranian regime names Khamenei's son as new leader. The son of eliminated Iranian leader Ali Khamenei has been chosen to replace his father. Mojtaba Khamenei has been seen as a frontrunner in the lead up to the announcement. Wait a minute, I thought the Iranian people were going to practice this thing called democracy. I thought Thomas Jefferson statues were going up in Tehran. I told you that this is stupid and ridiculous. People around the world don't think about government and freedom the way that you think about it. They just don't. By a decisive vote, the Assembly of Experts appointed Ayatollah Syed Mojtaba Hosseini Khamenei as the third leader of the sacred system of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Does it sound like the Islamic Republic is going to surrender? The Assembly, which is made up of 88 clerics, said in a statement issued just after midnight on March the 9th. The position of Supreme Leader gives Mojtaba Khamenei the final say in all matters of state in the Islamic Republic. Mojtaba Khamenei, who has rarely been seen in public, has close ties to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, that's the IRGC, and influence with local clerics. His selection signals that hardliners remain firmly in charge of the regime. You know, over here we call them hardliners. You know what they call them in Iran? Leaders. Just ain't the Soviet hardliners or this and that. You know what they called them in the Soviet Union? Leaders. Now, I'm not saying that these were good people. Please don't misunderstand. In a statement welcoming his selection as leader, the IRGC pointed to the relatively young age of Mojtaba Khamenei, 56, calling him a young intellectual and well-versed in political matters. Mojtaba Khamenei's wife and mother have also been killed in the U.S.-Israeli strikes. You think he might have an axe to grind? Hours before Iran's announcement, President Trump, who has said that he will be involved in picking Iran's next leader, warned the Iranian regime that if their appointed successor is not approved by the United States, he's not going to last long. Now, here you have Trump saying, well, no, I get to pick the leader. We get to choose the leader of Iran. This is not making America great again. It's making America poor again. I have women coming up to me after Mass. Let me finish my story about my friend Dee Dee. So Mass is over, and I'm getting ready to say my final prayers. And I'm getting ready. I get up, and I'm gathering my stuff. And I'm about ready to leave my pew. And I know Dee Dee very well. She's walking towards me, and I could see tears. And she's a listener, so she comes up to me and she grabs me by the arm, and I said, "What's wrong, sweetheart?" And she said, "I have to know what you think about this war in Iran." I said, "I think it's a complete and total abomination." And she said, "Oh, thank you so much." She goes, "But my babies, my grandsons, I have 4 grandsons that are draft age. Caroline Levitt's talking about a draft. I'm like, oh my Lord, are these people losing their minds? What in the hell is going on here? Somebody asked Caroline Levitt. Maggie, is that on the sheet?
She didn't say anything about boots on the ground.
Well, I saw somebody commenting on it, and they said that she did not rule out a draft or something to that effect. All right, here's what she actually said. This is not how March of 2026 was supposed to go in the second year of Making America Great Again and in the year of a midterm election.
Mothers out there are worried that we're going to have a draft, that they're going to see their sons get in and daughters get involved in this. What do you want to say about the president's plans for troops on the ground? As we know, it's been largely an air campaign up until now.
It has been, and it will continue to be, and President Trump wisely does not remove options off of the table. I know a lot of politicians like to do that quickly, but the president, as commander-in-chief, wants to continue to assess the success of this military operation. It's not part of the current plan right now, but the president, again, wisely keeps his options on the table.
Oh, okay, so she asked a question, mothers are worried about the draft, and then with a big blonde-haired smile, Caroline Levitt says, "Oh, President Trump is smart. He's not taking any options off the table." Why are you shrugging? It's a non-committal.
Well, no, it's a non-committal, but you also, you have to look at it from the standpoint of an administration. If you're at war, you're not going to give your enemy your hard line saying, "I'll go all the way up until no troops on the ground," because then that just you're showing your hand at that point, right?
Well, from an intel point of view, yeah, you don't want to say that. Exactly. But Franklin Delano Roosevelt in 1941 was asked the same question, and when in 1940 when he was running for re-election, was asked the same question: "Are you going to join the European war with your buddy Churchill? Are American boys are there going to be boots on the ground in the European theater?" And Roosevelt flat out lied and said, "There will not be any troops on the ground, boots on the ground. I will not commit your sons into this this global war that's happening in the European theater." That's what Roosevelt said, while he was secretly communicating via telegraph with Churchill. And then the United States quietly fired up its manufacturing capability to manufacture warships and started making battle cruisers for the Brits. This program was known. It's a good thing you people have me as your host so I can tell you these things. This program was known. You can Wikipedia this. It was known as, and Congress opposed him on this. So he had to lie about it. It was called the Lend-Lease program. And what Roosevelt told Congress is, we're not giving them the ship. We're just loaning them to them. They're leasing them. They're gonna pay us for them. I'm not sure that the British ever did, but that's how that whole thing went down. But again, back to the discussion at hand here. None of this has to happen. None of this has to happen. And again, after I talked to Dee Dee, and I tried to talk her down off the ledge, and then I talked to 3 more people after this. There was unanimous agreement out there among real conservative people, especially among real conservative Catholics. This is an abomination. No one is for this. I can't find anyone that's not a neocon or a fire-breathing heretical dragon of a Zionist who's for this. You read Jeff Childers' assessment again, taking the island of Karg. Now, you can't take an island the size of Karg if the IRGC knows you're coming with a half a dozen SEAL Team 6 guys or Special Forces. That's not how that works. But apparently that's what's being talked about. But wait a minute. I thought... Wow, there's so much, folks. We'll be back. Don't go away.
blue and you don't know where to go to, why don't you go where fashion sits? Putting on the Ritz. Different types who wear a day coat, pants with stripes and cutaway coat, perfect fits. Putting on the Ritz. Dressed up like $1 million trooper, trying hard to look like Gary Cooper. Come, let's mix where Rockefellers walk with sticks or umbrellas in their midst. Putting on the Ritz. Have you seen the well-to-do up and down Park Avenue on that famous thoroughfare with their noses in the air? High hats and arrow collars, white spats and lots of dollars, spending every dime for a wonderful time. If you're blue and you don't know where to go to, why don't you go where fashion sits? Putting on the Ritz. Different types who wear a day coat, pants with stripes and cutaway coat, perfect fits. Putting on the Ritz. Dressed up like $1 million trooper, trying hard to look like Gary Cooper. Come, let's mix where Rockefellers walk with sticks or umbrellas in their midst. Putting on
The Crusade Channel, talk radio the way it should be. Broadcasting live from Madisonville, Louisiana, and streaming 24/7 at crusadechannel.com. You're listening to The Crusade Channel, a Black Hat Studios media property. Broadcasting live 24/7 from Madisonville, Louisiana, and to the world via crusadechannel.com.
Silver and gold. In these turbulent times, buying silver and gold is such a no-brainer that even snowmen know they should do it. Now, all precious metal dealers claim to be the best, but only one can claim they are endorsed by the KingDude, and that's Miles Franklin. My friend Andy Scheckman's a regular guest on my show and a regular genius when it comes to silver and gold, and I trust him with my silver and gold purchases, and so should you. So email Miles Franklin today for your exclusive Mike Church Show discount price list. info@milesfranklin.com. Hey, it's a KingDude with another free lesson in stuff you really don't need to know. Did you know that the Carillon de Sacre-Cœur flag was first created in 1903 in the village of St. Jude in Quebec? Its history, however, can be traced back to the Battle of Fort Carillon between the French of New France and the British. The battle took place on 8 July 1758 at Fort Carillon, which is now known as Fort Ticonderoga. Here's another fact for you. The Sacred Heart of Jesus flag that we sell is the original merger of two separate flags. And did you know that our Founders Trading Post is the exclusive maker and distributor of this one-of-a-kind, full-size, beautiful flag? Order a Sacred Heart of Jesus flag right now and take $5 off and get a matching Sacred Heart flag bumper sticker for free. Don't cost nothing. The Carillon de Sacre-Cœur flag will beautify any indoor or outdoor space it flies in, but supplies are limited. Order today at mikechurch.com/flag or call us at 844-527-8723. Hi folks, it's Mike Church, founder of Founding Father Films, asking you to learn the true stories of America's founding by purchasing my movie, The Road to Independence, the movie. The Road to Independence tells the exciting story of the Founding Fathers' struggle to declare independence.
Resolved that it is the opinion of all that exploitation from the Confederate
though not much progress has been made,
cease.
there is hope.
This
Dr. Franklin has proposed a confederation of states, and I believe young Mr. Wilson of Philadelphia may be an ally as well. Still, this Congress is...
This animated movie comes complete with collector's booklets, DTS surround sound, and are packed with hours of bonus features. Learn the true stories of America's founding and order Mike Church's The Road to Independence on DVD and CD. Available now at mikechurch.com/DVD and by calling 844-527-8723.
When most people hear the word coffee, they conjure up visions of a ceramic mug in the palm of both hands and a woman slowly sipping. This isn't a Folgers commercial. It's for Capuchin Holy Roast, and here's how I take mine. With a dash of vanilla, a pinch of cinnamon, a spoonful of honey, and lots of heavy cream. Add some ice, shake, and then enjoy, while knowing that's $6 the libs at Starbucks can't spend to ruin my life and yours.
Cappuccino Holy Roast in whole bean or grind is available at shop.mychurch.com. While Trump continues to try and make America great again
by doing Mortal Kombat with the Clinton, Comey, and Clapper crime families.
You forgot the...
Nope, did not. And the king of Russia treason, the Obama father.
Well, we'll always be there for you with the best live coverage and commentary in media on the Crusade Channel, our app, and always on CrusadeChannel.com. Live talk and podcast radio
the way it should be.
Art Bell's Father Malachi Martin interviews, Season 1 and 2, are now streaming on podcast.crusadechannel.com. Everybody loves a good trilogy. The Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, and now the KingDude Seasoning Trilogy. There's Beast and Butt Rub, Acadiana Steak, and the brand new Chicken Mamu Seasoning, a lemon herb-based rub that's won trophies in barbecue chicken cook-offs. Now, we've bundled all 3 spices together, and you can get them for one low price for less than it costs to rent a movie trilogy. And the KingDude offers you his personal money-back guarantee of your taste buds' complete satisfaction. Order a KingDude Seasoning Trilogy today at shop.mychurch.com.
This is a pixel.
I'm Groot.
Now, if you put a couple of million of these guys together, you can make a sentence on an LED screen. Put a couple of billion of them together, and you can make a whole page. Put 360 billion of them, and you got Chesterton's book, Orthodoxy. But it doesn't smell like a book, and it burns teeny little holes in your cornea. So is the pixel really your friend?
I'm Groot.
No, but the Founders Trading Post is your friend, and we have actual books with actual smelly pages. Plus, our little bookstore has everything you'd expect.
I'm Groot.
Yes, Groot, to the gourmet coffee, but no to the One Tree Hill sappy guitar music.
Pick up a copy of G.K. Chesterton's Orthodoxy, plus many other Chesterton titles at shop.mychurch.com. In a world more and more infiltrated with fake news, AI-generated slop, isn't it great knowing that Crusade Channel News is still researched, written, and performed by actual humans? Hey, what are you doing in here? Oh no. Get your hands off of me. You chipped my chip.
Boys, break it up. Jeez. Catch Crusade Channel News weekday mornings on the Crusade Channel. Live talk and podcast radio the way it should be.
No AI was harmed in the making of this radio content, but we hope to next time.
The research department of the Mike Church Show has learned that most people listen to this show because you want your truth neat, straight up, and never watered down.
Hey, look, mister. We save hard drinks in here for men who want to get drunk fast, and we don't need any characters around to give the joint atmosphere. Is that clear?
And the best part about taking in 100 proof truth is you can drive at the same time. And you'll never get a hangover.
I'm so wasted.
The bar at the Mike Church Show opens every weekday morning at 8 a.m. exclusively on the Veritas Radio Network's Crusade.
I'd like to talk a little bit about the war in the Persian Gulf. Big doings in the Persian Gulf. You know my favorite part of that war? It's the first war we ever had that was on every channel plus cable. And the war got good ratings too, didn't it? Got good ratings. Well, we like war. We like war. We're a warlike people. We like war because we're good at it. And you know why we're good at it? Because we get a lot of practice. This country's only 200 years old, and already we've had 10 major wars. We average a major war every 20 years in this country, so we're good at it. And it's a good thing we are. We're not very good at anything else anymore. Huh? Can't build a decent car, can't make a TV set or a VCR worth of Got no steel industry left, can't educate our young people, can't get health care to our old people, but we can bomb the shit out of your country, all right? Huh? We can bomb the shit out of your country, all right? Especially if your country is full of brown people. Oh, we like that, don't we? That's our hobby. That's our new job in the world, bombing brown people. Iraq, Panama, Grenada, Libya. You got some brown people in your country. Tell them to watch the f*** out, or we'll goddamn bomb them. Well, when's the last white people you can remember that we bombed? Can you remember the last white? Can you remember any white people we've ever bombed? The Germans, those are the only ones, and that's only because they were trying to cut in on our action. They wanted to dominate the world. Bullshit, that's our f***ing job.
Hi, how you doing? The Oracle of Optimism, the Nuncio of Non-Intervention. Mike Church Show is on here on a Mike Church Show Red, White, and Dude Network Monday. When the show is concluded today, you make sure you browse over to MikeChurch.com and hit that brand new, beautiful, beautiful podcast.mikechurch.com site. Plus, you'll be able to get the live video show with YouBoob chat on MikeChurch.com. And there's just too many more great things to tell you about. The dude numbers are back. We need to keep announcing this. Go to MikeChurch.com. If you ever had a dude number from back in the day and you want to get it back or you want to start using it again, well, I'm the guy. This is the show. Brand new dude number t-shirt is done, and as soon as we complete the census, which will be this week, the census. If you want to keep your dude number and you want to use it, then you got to get yourself a new issued dude number t-shirt, or if you want a dude number, then we'll start next week. We'll start selling all the numbers out. So if you want to keep your old number, don't cost nothing. Go to MikeChurch.com. Check out the history of the dude number under the show menu, and then the form is at the bottom of that. There's an email that's going to go out as well to everybody, inviting you to take the census. And we had 8,000 dudes at one time. True story. Over 8,000 dudes. So that was an awful lot of dude number shirts and certificates back in the day. Get your, take the census today. If you have a dude number again, go fill the form out, claim your number, make sure that we don't give it to somebody else or sell it to somebody else at MikeChurch.com. All right. Maggie brings a good point up during the timeout. I made this point before and wasn't thinking of it until she said it. And then I went, oh, okay, yeah, that's a fair point. In the art of the deal, one of the things that he writes about in the art of the deal, this is Trump's book that came out in the mid-'80s. When you're making a deal, you ask for more than you actually need to, or will accept that you're going to get. So you say, well, yeah, I'm if you're trying to lowball something, well, I'll buy that building from you for $12 a square foot, when you know that it's worth at least $15. So you're going to lowball and go, I'll give you 12, and ultimately you're going to negotiate, and you're going to make the guy feel like he got a deal, and he got you because you started at 12, and you paid him 15, when all along you were willing to pay 15. Everybody understand that? So it's the same thing with the unconditional surrender. You start talking to the Iranians, going like, well, we get to approve the new leader. If I don't approve him, it'll be really bad for you, really bad. And then you say, I'm not going to settle for, we're settling for nothing less than unconditional surrender. Well, that's a negotiating position, and then you probably, what will you actually settle for? But it's not unconditional surrender. I said this I was talking to, again, my friend Jim, and I'm like, we just had an instance where there was a surrender, and it wasn't unconditional. Nobody ever sent it. The last time someone threatened a foreign land with unconditional surrender was Truman. Now, Truman was no Trump, And Truman ultimately, because the Japanese and Emperor Hirohito weren't willing to deliver an unconditional surrender, and one of the conditions was you had to abandon, you got to get rid of the ancient Japanese emperor. You can't have the house of the emperor any longer, or what the Japanese called the holy Japanese emperor. Can't have him anymore. You're going to abolish the monarchy, basically. And of course, the Japanese said, "Screw you! We are not abolish. We are not abolish monarchy. We are ancient Japanese emperor." Hey. And of course, after the devastation in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the Japanese changed their mind, and as the people were pleading no more atomic bombs, Hirohito went to the decks of the what was the name of the ship? There's a famous picture, people liking pictures, of Stalin and Roosevelt and Hirohito on the agreement at Yalta was basically ended the war. In any event, that was one of the only instances in global war history where anyone ever actually gave up an unconditional surrender. So you would say unconditional surrender, then you negotiate down from there. Somebody said, "So you completely did yours. You finally saw the light and you're an anti-Trumper." No, I'm not anti-Trump. I don't want the president to fail. I don't want this presidency to fail. I don't want the effort to make America great again to fail. I support the trade policies, still do. Although I'm not sure how this is going to enhance your trading position with other than people may be mortified now that if you don't do what he says you got to do, that you're going to the United States Navy is going to be sicked on you. Play digital media file number 1. To that end, I said unconditional. It's the only thing we're going to accept is unconditional. You're not going to get an unconditional. If you ask me, are the Iranians going to surrender? What, they're going to let the West run Persia? No, they're not going to surrender, just like the Russians were never not going to beat the Ukrainians. And now, the talk is that the Ukrainians now need, okay, all right, you can have the Donbass. As I've been saying all along, it's going to be Russian. You might as well just deal with it. So here's Trump on the unconditional surrender.
Can you give us an idea of what unconditional surrender looks like to you? I mean, what do you want from Iran?
I said unconditional, not conditional. I said unconditional. It's where they cry uncle, or when they can't fight any longer and there's nobody around to cry uncle. That could happen too, because we've wiped out their leadership numerous times already. So it's if they surrender, or if there is nobody around to surrender, but they're rendered useless in terms of military.
So, and then the explanation is what? I said unconditional, so there's no one left. Mr. President, I mean, I understand the bravado, and you have to be the commander-in-chief, and then you have to project positivity and strength. I get that. Everyone should get that. But between you and I talking, 96 million people in Persia are not going to become Westerners. And if they do, it will happen because they decided to do it. It is not going to happen because, I just think of this. This is like the worst form of colonialism ever invented. Now, if just imagine for a moment that this was a this was a crusade for the conversion of the Mohammedans to the Christian faith. Of course, you'd have God truly on your side then. But would you do it by the end of the sword? This is how the Mohammedans convert, which is another reason why this is an absolute abomination. And the people that are behind this are not America Firsters. They're not MAGA people. They're Zionists, and everybody knows it. I have a 65-year-old woman coming up to me after Mass, cursing Zionists. So it's not like the term, we told you the poll last week from the Pew Research or from Gallup showing that the youth of the world have turned against the Israelis, and the Israeli experiment, it's over. Another part of this, you may be curious about, or you may be, okay, what happens if the island, Karg, what happens if, let's just say that the U.S. forces, and what a ridiculously stupid move this would be. You had thousands upon thousands of U.S. and Israeli forces on there to keep the island of Karg, and the Iranians now being of the opinion that all is basically lost, and you have thousands of the enemy on an island that will burn. A well-placed bomb turns that island into hell, literally. What could possibly go right at that point? By the way, the replacement of one Khomeini for another, when the prior Khomeini said, no, we don't have nukes and we don't have nuclear fissile material, when the West is insisting that, no, they were a day away. I've heard now a day. They were 1 day. So the day before the bombing raids began on Friday or Saturday morning, two Saturday mornings ago, supposedly at noon the following Sunday, the Iranians were going to place the fissile material into the warhead and we're going to have a nuke. Now, this is something that was supposed to have been happening since 1982. If you don't act today, in 2 days, they're going to take the fissile material and they're going to put it into the warhead and they're going to have a nuke, and then they're going to deliver and they're going to detonate it in the United States. Well, how are they going to get it here? How are they going to get it here? There's another part of this, though. What if the Iranian, okay, well, just say that the island of Karg is taken. Where would you get replacement oil to prevent a global market crash? You take Iranian crude, all of it, and since the Straits of Hormuz, and by the way, if we're winning, if the United States and the Israelis are winning, why is the Strait of Hormuz still closed? I saw the headline today, Strait of Hormuz still closed. Well, who closed it? Apparently the Iranians have closed it. Well, if you're winning, wouldn't that be one of your first objectives, to reopen the Strait of Hormuz? I'm just asking for a friend. Where would you get the oil to replace Iranian oil? Well, Scott Bessent on Friday might have let the cat out of the bag when he said, this is Reuters, U.S. could lift sanctions on more Russian oil, says Bessent. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent on Friday said the United States could remove sanctions for more Russian oil day after Washington issued a 30-day waiver allowing the sale of Russian crude currently stranded at sea to continue to India. We may unsanction other Russian oil. Well, you know how much oil the Russians have? More than the Iranians. That's right. Let me restate that. The United States, Trump has bragged about this. They told him, you're not allowed, don't buy, if you buy any oil from Russia, I'm going to tariff you, I'm going to sanction you. We have been threatening every country on earth from not buying Russian oil under threat of U.S. sanctions. Again, this is meddling in the world and in the affairs of other nations where you shouldn't have a stake here. But apparently, Russia produces around 10 million barrels a day. So it's the world's third largest oil producer. Now, they have the tankers, They have pipelines. Before they blew the Nord Stream up, just to think of how stupid does that look now? And then there's more talk about this. Play digital media file number 2. This is more about, this is our plan. We're going to get this unconditional surrender.
You want to talk about leverage. With every passing day, we have more and more leverage because we have more and more capabilities. We're hitting them harder and harder, and they have less of an ability to defend themselves. So we're pressing the offensive every single day, creating all the leverage the president needs for the outcoming wars.
So it sounds like you think they're running out of one or both of the drones.
Well, I think when you look, they're sending in much less drones. They're being decimated now. At some point, I don't think there'll be anybody left, maybe, to say we surrender. They're being decimated, and when you look, also, all of a sudden they apologized to the Middle Eastern states that they shot at them. I was very surprised to see they did that, but you mark that down as a victory for us and for the Middle Eastern states, who are really friends of ours. But I guess they're not going to be shooting at them anymore. They apologized, and we'll see what happens. But that's a big loss. That's a surrender right there. I called it a surrender today. When they apologized and said they're not shooting at them anymore, that's really a surrender to those states and to us. Anything else?
There may not be anyone left to surrender. Last estimate on the IRGC, and this is like trying to find out how many men were in the Russian Soviet Red Army. This is something that they would never tell you. But last estimate of how many Iranian men were in the IRGC, the last estimate that I saw was there were over 2 million. Maggie, see what Google tells you is the population of the IRGC. Doesn't it sound like they're talking about some little game pieces on a Stratigo board? Ultimately, there will be no one left. It's just, it's stunning to watch this. 600,000. Still. Let's pretend that number is accurate, and they would never give you the actual number. But let's pretend that number of 600,000. Where did I see 2 million? I know I saw 2 million somewhere. 600,000 IRGC, Iranian Republican Guard Corps. You're going to kill 600,000 human beings, and this is an act of kindness? This is something that you're selflessly doing to liberate the people of Iran, or you just need to kill 310,000 of them, so a majority of them are dead and they can't fight. To hear Hexa just now, well, we're going to keep wiping them out until they have no one that can order a strike. Okay, so that tells me you need to find 600,000 people. Unbelievable. Yeah, but TKD, they have to say that things are strong, and they had to stand up and they had to say, we're going to take the fight to them. Yeah, grandmas out there who voted for Trump, seeking consolation after church services, that their grandsons aren't going to be pulled into a draft to fight World War III in the Middle East. Who dreamed this scheme up? You know what? Play. Where's the one that you were? Okay, here. Play number 15. Who are the kings of the Zion kings in the White House? Is Stephen Miller one of them?
Do you think Stephen Miller should go?
Oh, of course I do. I think Stephen Miller is one of the
Not only does Stephen really want to just paint a picture, he's not worried about substance, he's more worried about form, but I also think that he has an outsized influence over the operations of the cabinet. And I believe we've got qualified cabinet members there that sometimes are doing less than what they want to because of his direction and his outsized influence. He's a big problem in this administration. He has been from the beginning. But Noam is a Senate-confirmed cabinet member. She should have been independent. I believe that Mark Wayne will be independent. I believe that Mark Wayne will be driven by data. He'll leverage law enforcement resources, expertise, people like Tom Holman to get things right. And if he doesn't, we'd hold him accountable. But I have a lot of confidence in my friend, and I'm looking forward to him getting this department under control so that Republicans can seize an issue that helped us get elected, strong on the border, strong on deportation, strong on the rule of law.
So, Stephen Miller's calling the shots here now? Anyone want to take a stab at that one? I'll ask Magdalene that question later on in the program. Some other headlines. Maggie, do we have the audio of Biden bashing Trump at the Reverend Jackson's funeral? Jesse Jackson Jr. lashes out at Obama, Biden for using Father's Memorial Service to bash Trump. The Reverend Jesse Jackson Jr. Lashed out at former Presidents Obama and Biden and Clinton for using the moment to bash Trump during his father's memorial service, saying their tribute strayed from the civil rights leader's legacy. Well, that's what that's what the Reverend Jackson would have done, let me tell you. Speaking at a private memorial in Chicago, Jackson Jr. said the former presidents who delivered eulogies do not know Jesse Jackson and framed his father's life through a political lens he did not share. We'll be right back.
You want your talk radio shaken.
Too many free radicals.
Free radicals, sir?
Too much red meat and white bread. And too many dry martinis.
Not stirred.
Then I shall cut out the white bread, sir.
Truth never dies on the Veritas Radio Network's Crusade.
Attention Coffee Police Academy students. We will now call the roll. CPA candidate Jones.
Present.
Joe Arabica Friday.
Present.
Tommy.
Oh, I'm here, sir. I just can't seem to keep my eyes open since I started drinking this Barrett Bargain Basement Stale Bean Water.
And just why are you violating CPA coffee code SPW1AM?
Well, that's easy. So I can save up money to get into the Coffee Cop Academy.
Son, breaking CPA rules so you can get into CPA is no way to become a coffee cop. Now, I am afraid we're going to have to...
Uh-oh. Sounds like Lou has found the academy. And he's on his second cup of Abbey Roast.
Well, what does he want?
He wants to know why the CPA didn't recognize his Rougarou nouns.
Rougarou nouns? And I'm the one that rejected his application.
Will Lou the Rougarou have his revenge and grind the coffee cop into espresso? Stay tuned to this station for our next episode. And in the meantime, order Abbey Roast coffee at shop.mikechurch.com.
Hello, Crusaders. This is Sister Maria Junipero with your saint of today. Today's feast,
the Crusade Channel and the slaves of the Immaculate Heart of Mary's Sisters present the Saint of the Day.
Was the young disciple of St. John Bosco who wrote his life. St. Dominic was only 15 years old when he died. He was one of the glories of the last century by way of a heroic young Catholic boy. He was totally given in all his thoughts and deeds to Jesus and Mary. St. Francis of Rome, who died in 1440, was a noble matron who lived a life of heroic charity. She had such a great devotion to her guardian angel that she was given an almost constant vision of him walking at her side. Having for 40 years led a most saintly life in the married state, upon which she entered when, but 12 years of age, Francis retired from the world, where she had endured every sort of tribulation. But she had given her heart to God long before she withdrew to the cloister. Her whole life had been spent in the exercise of the highest Christian perfection, and she had ever received from our Lord the sublimest spiritual favors. Her amiable disposition had won for her the love and admiration of her husband and children. The rich venerated her as their model, the poor respected her, as their devoted benefactress and mother, God recompensed her angelic virtues by these two special graces, the almost uninterrupted sight of her guardian angel, and the most sublime revelations. But there is one trait of her life which is particularly striking, and reminds us forcibly of St. Elizabeth of Hungary and of St. Jane Frances de Chantal, her austere practices of penance. St. Francis of Rome was 56 years old when she died. This is also the latest day on which Ash Wednesday can occur. St. Dominic Savio, St. Francis of Rome, pray for us. Thank you for joining us for this brief summary of the lives of today's saints. Tomorrow's feast is the feast of the 40 Holy Martyrs of Sebaste. To access all of our Saint of the Day recordings as podcasts, head to crusadechannel.com/saints. You can learn more about our sisters and contribute to the building of our convent by visiting stphilomenaconvent.org. I'm Sister Maria Junipera, and until next time, God bless and Mary keep you.
Hey, Mick. Yesterday's show wasn't enough. It's time to crack open another can of Mike Church Show whooping.
This guy just don't want to win, you know. He wants to bury you. He wants to humiliate you. He wants to prove to the whole world that it was nothing but some kind of a freak the first time out.
Hey, freaks don't hear the rocky music before they leave satellite radio.
How about a Fresca?
The Mike Church Show. Weekday mornings on the Crusade Channel. King-sized truth. From radio-sized speakers.
America's Morning Show, the Mike Church Show, is on here on a Monday. Loaded up for weak tea sucking commie. And we need to be loaded up for weak tea sucking commie. The Red, White, and Dude Nation is back. During the Dude Number Census, asking you to go to MikeChurch.com and you'll find the story, the history of the Dude Number. And if you ever had a Dude Number, then during the census, go and claim it. Don't cost nothing. The form is all the way down at the bottom of the history of the Dude Number page, which is an interesting little story you may want to read after the show. So check all that out at the all-new, brand-new MikeChurch.com and the brand-new podcast site for this show, which has it's a grand total right now of 2,800 and change podcast episodes. And there's more coming. Some full, complete shows from 11 seasons of this show. This is season 11. Some are previews or shorter broadcasts, little highlights and stuff that we clipped out for the New Christendom Daily feed. Some are old speeches of mine and new speeches and talks that I have given. Some there's an interview tab there, and believe me, what you see there now is just like what we were able to gather, because you got to find some of this stuff. Over 12 years, 11 years, we stored things on different drives, so we populate more stuff on that podcast site every single day, and there's a lot more coming. So check it out today, podcast.mikechurch.com. Now, Maggie, what were you saying you couldn't parse through what Obama and Biden said?
Well, I just didn't want to listen to them.
Oh, I didn't hear it. I was talking about this before the end of the break. The Reverend Jesse Jackson Jr. Now, a couple weeks ago, I told this story. I retold it. I'll tell it again. The Reverend Jackson's son, Jesse Jackson Jr., was, okay, so 2008, Obama beats McCain for the presidency. Obama then has to surrender his U.S. Senate seat. So he does. The governor of Illinois at the time is a guy named Rob Blagojevich. Blagojevich then is tasked with, under the Illinois Constitution, finding a replacement for Obama. And so Blagojevich does what the governor is supposed to do. Apparently, Blagojevich had settled on the Reverend Jackson's son, Jesse Jackson Jr. And this is a choice that Obama did not want to happen. So what did Obama do? And if you don't know this story, then you need to be... Stanley Kurtz is the guy that you could read all about this. He wrote at the National Review at the time, Stanley Kurtz. Obama basically called his buddy, James Comey, his new buddy, what can I do to get rid of this Blagojevich guy? I'm not going to put the right replacement in there. Can't have the Reverend Jackson's son. That's what I want to replace me. And Comey told Obama, don't worry about it. We got Patrick Fitzgerald. We'll bring Patrick Fitzgerald in on this. And everybody knows that Blagojevich is a big talker. He likes to boast and he likes to brag and he wants to be a big player. So we're going to let him be a big player and we're going to frame him. We're going to set him up. We're going to make it through a series of phone calls and emails and stuff. We're going to make it look like Rob Blagojevich was accepting bribes. In other words, people were paying him off so that he would nominate or he would send the Reverend Jackson's son to the Senate. And that's exactly what they did. Patrick Fitzgerald, who was Eternal Shame, who was assistant director of the FBI at the time, they put Patrick Fitzgerald on the case, and Fitzgerald buried Blagojevich. Now, how do we know that Blagojevich was innocent? Well, we know that Blagojevich was innocent, number one, because he said so, and number two, because if you were following this after the fact, then, and again, Stanley Kurtz said all the so much journalism on this, and investigative journalism, FOIA acts and what have you here. Ultimately, after they knew they had a friendly judge, and then the grand jury returned the indictment back on Governor Blagojevich. He basically resigned as the governor of Illinois, and then the Obama administration prosecuted him, and he was given the maximum sentence, which was, I want to say it was life. 20 years or 20 to life or something. It was obscene. And so they let Governor Blagojevich off in chains, and they threw him in a pen. They threw him in a federal prison, and there he remained from all of 2000. When was he convicted? 2010, maybe, until President Trump's first term. And then Mrs. Blagojevich, so Governor Blagojevich's wife, knew the case and knew of her husband's innocence and knew that he had been framed by Fitzgerald and Obama and Comey. And so she never stopped trying to get a retrial. He was sentenced to 14 years. At 14 years he was sentenced to. So she never stopped trying to get him a retrial. And then I think she was actually seeking a mistrial. And she was appealing to Obama for a pardon. But what she didn't know was that Obama was never going to pardon him because Obama was terrified of him. And Obama's the one that wanted him in jail. Now, this just completely destroys this picture Barack Hussein Obama is this kind, benevolent black leader who led all Democrats to the promised land and just loved everyone. This guy was a backstabbing conniver. And he is still today. So ultimately, what happened? Mrs. Blagojevich sent the packet of information she had on her husband's case and finally got it to somebody in the Trump White House, and they read it. They then went to President Trump and they said, you need to pardon this guy. This dude is completely innocent. He was set up by Obama and Patrick Fitzgerald, and that sentence never should have happened. You should issue the pardon. And so Trump did. Trump pardoned Blagojevich. Blago was his nickname in Illinois. Blago that's what the Drudge Report and the Daily Mail called him, because they had to frame him as a bad guy. So Blagojevich gets out of jail, and he has a little press conference. And what does Blagojevich say at the press conference? He says that he goes, I'm a Democrat. He goes, but I just want to say thanks to President Trump. He is the only politician in the United States that would even listen to my wife and listen to the case, because anyone that would have reviewed it would have seen that I was set up, that I was basically framed. So my point is that the only reason that the Reverend Jackson Jr. tolerated Obama and Biden being there is because they were presidents. Jesse Jackson Jr. did not like Barack Hussein Obama. This idea that, well, there's black guys are all together. Not true. Not true. As a matter of fact, I'm sure that the Reverend Jackson knew about what had happened to his son's bid to become a United States Senator. And by the way, Obama in back channels was telling Jesse Jackson Jr., you're not going to get appointed, and don't you dare run. If you run, I will destroy you. And so that's the real Barack Hussein Obama that nobody knows. What did he say? Yesterday, the Reverend Jackson Jr., yesterday I listened to for several hours to 3 United States presidents who do not know Jesse Jackson. He said he maintained a tense relationship with the political order, not because the presidents were white or black, but the demands of our message, the demands of speaking for the least of these, those who are disinherited, the damned, the dispossessed, the disrespected, demanded not Democrat or Republican solutions, but demanded a consistent prophetic voice that at no point in time was ever sold us out as a people. And it speaks volumes about who the Reverend Jesse Jackson was. Each day we wake up to some new assault on our democratic institutions, Obama. Here it is. Each day we wake up to some new democratic assault on our institutions. Another setback to the idea of the rule of law. You're the only setback to the rule of law. You wake up to things you just don't think were possible. And each day we're told by those in high office to fear each other and to turn on each other, and some Americans count more than others. And that some don't even count at all. That's not what Trump says, and you know that's not what Trump says. Former President Bill Clinton kept his largely personal, remembering Jackson as a friend and reflecting on their conversations during his impeachment fight. Trump did not attend the memorial. Democrats eat their own. Is the message from this. They eat their own. They destroy their young and their old. The only loyalty they have is to evil itself, it seems. Here's another interesting one. Gen Z is getting dumber, and that's hurting the GOP in America. This is Joseph Ford Cotton, an American thinker. A troubling shift is unfolding within Generation Zoomers. Born between 1997 and 2012, and it is not merely cultural or political, it's cognitive. You mean they're stupid? Yeah. Aggie says, yeah. In February testimony before the U.S. Senate Committee on Commerce, Science and Transportation, neuroscientist Dr. Jared Cooney Horvath stated that Zoomers have become the first generation in modern recorded history to score lower than its predecessor. This was across key cognitive measures such as attention span, memory, reading comprehension, numeracy, problem-solving ability, and overall IQ. In other words, they're stupid. Now, what might be making them so stupid?
Social media.
That.
The smartphone and social media.
This is what is making
Clicks
them
and likes.
stupid. Clicks and likes.
They ate Tide Pods for a challenge.
Not only did they eat Tide Pods for a challenge, but remember some of them thought that they could surf on the roof of their friends' cars? Remember that one? Where remember the roll out of the car challenge? You remember this? Yes, we covered it. That you basically hijack your parents' car and you get in it, and then they showed you how to rig up.
I'm okay with that because I did some amazing ramps for my bicycle, so that's just, kids being kids. But eating Tide Pods?
No, wait a minute. No, you're not understanding. They were showing each other on videos how to rig up a gizmo to keep the gas pedal pushed down. Oh, well, then they would, no, I'm not making this up. And you go down the street where your buddies are watching or whatever, and then you open your door and you roll out.
That's stupid.
Yeah, well, a couple of them died. Then there were the idiots that were remember there used to be hood ornaments. What happened to hood ornaments? We have so destroyed the beauty that was the American car. Well, they were taking ski ropes. I'm not making this up. This is how stupid these kids were. They were taking ski ropes, and they were tying them to the grill, or to what passes for a grill. It's all plastic now. The front of a car, and then they would have their friend drive the car, and they would climb on the roof with the ski rope, and as the friend was swerving back and forth, they're surfing, or they're skiing on the roof of the car. Several of them fell off. There were massive brain injuries, and there were deaths. That's the generation we're talking about. For more than a century, Joseph Ford Cotton says, the trend had moved in the opposite direction. Each new generation typically scored on intelligence measures than the last, higher than intelligence measures than the last. Scholars called this the Flynn effect. I didn't know that. Improvements in nutrition, education, and living standards steadily boosted cognitive performances throughout the 20th century, we're told. The trajectory appears to have reversed. Researchers point to an environmental cause rather than a biological one. The most frequently cited factor is the overwhelming dominance of digital media in both classrooms and daily life. Best thing that you could do for all of your children, if you have school-age children, is lead a campaign wherever it is that you live. If you don't homeschool, and I'm not going to judge you on it, but if you don't homeschool, is to lead a campaign in your school district or wherever it is that your little darling tyke goes to school to remove all digital devices from class, from school. You have to get rid of them. Cold turkey. Even the dumb Europeans are doing this. Europeans are like, no, screw that. We're just going to ban them from social media altogether until they're 15. A digital device is not necessary. As a matter of fact, I would say a digital device is an impediment to learning. AI is an impediment to learning. Do you know how much I know about cascading style sheet styling? I'll give you an example. Middle church, play! What the hell is the getting dial ye? What do I hear? All right, hair lip dude, let me tell you. By the way, the only character on the Mike Church show that is as old as the dude number is the hair lip dude. I can't hair lip man back in to talk about hair lip man's been around with us for 27 years. Okay. So when I'm because we're poor around here, we don't have the money to hire developers and designers to do heavy lifting website work. So when you go to the all-new MikeChurch.com and it looks beautiful and everything displays nice, even when you change devices, well, that's not an accident. You have to actually do that. Well, if you don't know how to write the code or to even understand the code, and it's very it's very complex. It's getting more complex. They keep adding complexity to it. What you could do is you could do what I do. And I used to try and understand it, and I knew just enough to screw it up. So you can do what I do now, which is I tell ChatGPT, I tell the AI what the problem is. I give it a little piece of the code, and I say, can you fix it? I never got a no. Now, I will tell you that sometimes it takes 5, 6 attempts for the AI to get it right. And then you'll go back and go like, dude. And I literally will tell you, dude, you totally screwed that up. But I'm not learning about CSS code anymore. I don't need to. So I'm just giving you an example. I don't need to because I can get ChatGPT to do it for me. Because why do I need to understand it when I can just tell it to do it? So you don't know anything. I mean, I know I can look at it. If you told me, could you fix something on your website, and you were and it was based in this stuff called CSS, cascading style sheet, I would tell you that yes, without ChatGPT, if I wanted to sit there and learn how your stuff was working, I could fix it. But I don't need to. Well, that's the easy way out, dude. No, it's the easy and fast way out because the learning curve is massive. So in any event, I can tell you straight up. Now, just apply the lesson that I just had to English. When I was in high school, my most hated subject, no one would believe this today, but my most hated subject I hated the second most. The subject I hated the most was math. And I still hate it. I agree with Jimmy Buffett. Math sucks. It's useful and it's necessary, just not for me, was English. English lit. I despised it. If I were going to school today, I probably would be one of those that would be prone to using an AI to do my English homework for me. So... But it can't take the test for you. This is the thing. Which is why if you ban the devices in the class, well, then you can't have it do your homework for you because you'll flunk every in-session test, right? Horvath summarized the problem bluntly during a Senate testimony. The human brain, he explained, is not wired to learn complex ideas through brief online clips or condensed digital summaries. Effective learning requires sustained engagement and cognitive effort. Without those habits, memory formation and deep comprehension weaken. This is actually something that I do know a little bit about. If you want to keep your brain limber and you want to continue to challenge yourself as you get older, you know, it's one of the things that you can do, and I can tell you that this works. Learn a foreign language. Just pick one. I picked French. So, je suis étudiant à parler le français. I am learning how to speak French, is what I just said. I hope that's what I just said. In any event, learn a foreign language. It will challenge you. It makes neurons in your noggin fire that otherwise would not because they're not connected. And they're going like, wait a minute, I don't have that knowledge. I got to make a new neuron, or I got to connect to an unused or an idle neuron. And it will keep you sharp. It will keep the kids sharp as well, which is why, back when I was in school, I think I was the last year in the state of Virginia that you did not have to take at least 1 year of Latin. You remember Latin used to be required. All right, folks.
It's not tape or a Post-it or a candy bar, but this new 3M
is the freshest spin on true crime shows since dinosaurs were solving cold cases with fossil evidence. Yeah, it's that original, folks.
Mom's Murders and Mysteries. New episodes debut every Tuesday night, 6:30 East, 4 West, exclusively on the Crusade channel. Live talk podcast radio, the way it should be.
Hi, folks, it's Mike Church, founder of Founding Father Films, asking you to learn the true stories of America's founding by purchasing my movie, The Road to Independence, the movie. The Road to Independence tells the exciting story of the Founding Fathers' struggle to declare independence.
Resolved that these united colonies are, and of right ought to be, free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is, and ought to be, totally dissolved.
This animated movie comes complete with collector's booklets, DTS surround sound, and are packed with hours of bonus features. Learn the true stories of America's founding and order Mike Church's The Road to Independence on DVD and CD. Available now at mikechurch.com/DVD and by calling 844-527-8723.
Blue and you don't know where to go to, why don't you go where fashion sits?
Broadcasting 50,000 kilowatts from atop the tallest radio tower on the planet. We are KRSD, the Crusade Channel, Madisonville. Well, it's what our call letters would be if we were on FM. Crusade Channel News. News you can trust.
Because let's face it, the truth just sounds different. Like a symphony of facts.
And now, from the Crusade Channel News Desk, here's Janet Huxley.
Hello, Red, White, and Blue Nation. Welcome to Monday, March the 9th, 2026. I'm Janet Huxley at the Mike Church Show News Desk, live from the ranch in Kansas City. This report is brought to you by the all-new Mike Church Show website and Dude Nation membership service. Check it out today at the all-new MikeChurch.com. Here's what to listen for this hour. Iranian regime names Khamenei's son as new leader. No need to worry about oil prices. Police recover third device in ongoing Manhattan IED investigation. Walz jumps into the Iranian strike debate and becomes a laughing joke for both sides. And Jesse Jackson's son blasts Obama and Biden for using father's memorial to take shots at Trump. The son of eliminated Iranian leader Ali Khamenei has been chosen to replace his father. Mojtaba Khamenei had been seen as a forerunner in the lead-up to the announcement by the assembly that is constitutionally charged with choosing the Islamic Republic's next leader. His father was killed in one of the first strikes launched by the U.S. in Israel. President Donald Trump said on March the 8th that Iran's new leader is not going to last long if he is not approved by the United States. Don't fret over those oil prices. Yesterday on social media, President Donald Trump defended potential short-term spikes in oil prices amid escalating tensions with Iran, arguing that economic impacts would be temporary and outweighed by long-term security gains. Trump said the cost of higher energy prices is a very small price to pay if it leads to the destruction of Iran's nuclear threat and greater safety for the United States and the world. Short-term oil prices, which will drop rapidly when the destruction of the Iran nuclear threat is over, is a very small price to pay for USA and world safety and peace, the president wrote on Truth Social. Only fools would think differently. New York City officials have confirmed that a device ignited and thrown during protests near Gracie Mansion on Saturday was an improvised explosive device, or IED, capable of causing serious injury or death. In a statement posted to X on Sunday, NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch said the department's bomb squad determined the device was neither a hoax nor a smoke bomb. As authorities continued to analyze a second device recovered at the scene, a third device was found last night, according to reports. The two suspects now in custody are believed to be U.S. citizens, and that one suspect allegedly shouted Allahu Akbar before igniting and throwing the IED into a crowd. Our quote of the day: I wish not merely to be called a Christian, but also to be a Christian. St. Ignatius of Antioch. Coming up, more of today's headlines. You're listening to The Mike Church Show.
This is a pixel. I'm Groot. Now, if you put a couple of million of these dudes together, you can make a sentence on an LED screen. Put a couple billion of them together, and you can make a whole page. Put 160 billion of them together, and you've got Nina Gaynor's A Garden for Mary children's book. But it doesn't smell like a book. And it'll burn teeny little holes in your kids' teeny little corneas. So is the pixel really their friend? I'm Groot. That's right, Groot. No. But the Founders Trading Post is their friend. And we have actual books with actual kind of kid-smelly pages and pictures, because kids lack in pictures. Plus, our little bookstore has everything the kids' parents expect. I'm Groot. Yep, we got the Beast and Butt rubs, but nope, there is no Helen Reddy played here.
Pick up a copy of Garden for Mary, plus dozens of other Catholic children's books titles at shop.mikechurch.com.
You can learn all about today's Saint of the Day and the Saint of the Day podcast at crusadechannel.com. Now, a look at more of today's headlines. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz joined the chorus of Democrats squawking about the Trump administration's strikes on Iran, leading to brutal mockery on social media, including from those on the left. Blowback was varied, including by Michael Rappaport, known for his anti-Trump commentary. He slammed Walz by retweeting a response to the governor from an Israeli diplomat. Iran started this war 47 years ago when they took American hostages. Honestly, can people crack open a book before posting nonsense? Wrote someone whose bio includes time at the Israeli mission to the UN. Rappaport went on to take issue with critics of the Iranian strikes and condemned those who remained silent, as Khamenei oversaw mass murders of tens of thousands of dissidents in recent months. I'm glad that old bag and his entire regime are gone, he said. 72 virgins have got to deal with that bull. Now, good luck, ladies. He added in a message on Monday. Will this affect your Somali kickbacks? Asked Representative Randy Fine, a Republican from Florida. And others criticized alleged hypocrisy involving Walz's prior meeting with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky and his tweet at the time that Minnesota stands with the people of Ukraine as they fight to defend freedom and democracy. Reverend Jesse Jackson's son was none too pleased with former Presidents Joe Biden, Barack Obama, and Bill Clinton for using the late civil rights icon's memorial service to take shots at President Trump. Jesse Jackson Jr. said the grandstanding Democrats didn't really know his father after they used their eulogies to bash the president, his policies, and his vision for America during Friday's send-off. Yesterday, I listened for several hours to 3 U.S. presidents who do not know Jesse Jackson, the grieving son, said at Rainbow Push Coalition headquarters in Chicago. Clinton, who kept his eulogy mostly free of politics, remembered Jackson warmly as a good friend. Trump did not attend the memorial service. I'm Janet Huxley for the Mike Church Show and the Red, White, and Dude Nation, because ethics in broadcasting matters.
When most people hear the word coffee, they conjure up visions of a ceramic mug in the palm of both hands and a woman slowly sipping. This isn't a Folgers commercial. It's for cappuccino holy roast, and here's how I take mine. With a dash of vanilla, a pinch of cinnamon, a spoonful of honey, and lots of heavy cream. Add some ice, shake, and then enjoy, while knowing that's $6 the libs at Starbucks can't spend to ruin my life and yours.
Cappuccino Holy Roast in whole bean or grind is available at shop.mychurch.com.
Hi, folks. It's Mike Church, founder of Founding Father Films, asking you to learn the true stories of America's founding by purchasing my movie, The Road to Independence, the movie. The Road to Independence tells the exciting story of the Founding Fathers' struggle to declare independence.
Yes, of course, Mr. Hancock. We, your Majesty's faithful subjects of the 13 colonies, on behalf of ourselves and the inhabitants of these colonies, who've appointed us to represent them in General Congress, beg your Majesty's gracious attention to this our humble petition.
Mr. Dickinson,
powder and artillery are the most...
This animated movie comes complete with collector's booklets, DTS surround sound, and are packed with hours of bonus features. Learn the true stories of America's founding and order Mike Church's The Road to Independence on DVD and CD. Available now at mikechurch.com/DVD and by calling 844-527-8723.
Who needs a 007 license to kill
That gun looks more fitting for a woman. You know much about guns, Mr. Bond.
when you've got a license to kill error?
No, I know a little about women.
The truth is bonded on the Veritas Radio Network's Crusade.
Go ahead, Mr. President. Continue what you were doing. No! You have to show Muhammad, Mr. President!
Mr. President, we're awaiting your orders.
Sir, just think about what you're doing to free speech. No, think about the people who can get hurt.
I don't know who to listen to.
Okay, I'll make it easy for you. Pull the Muhammad episode, now!
Okay, I'll listen to you. Julie!
No! Wait! You can't listen to him! He's a lying, deceitful monster who only wants Family Guy off the air!
But he has a gun.
You can't do what he wants just because he's the one threatening you with violence. Shut up, Cap!
I can't be responsible for people getting hurt, especially me.
Yes, people can get hurt. That's how terrorism works. But if you give in to that, Doug, you're allowing terrorism to work. Do the right thing here. Give the orders to pull the episode, Mr. President.
I shouldn't even be in the office still. It's supposed to be half-day Fridays.
Mr. President, 30 seconds to airtime. What do you want us to do?
Do the right thing, Mr. President.
How about I allow the episode to air, but just censor out the image of Muhammad again?
I wish that was good enough. But if you censor out Muhammad, then soon you'll have to censor out more. No gay speeches, Cap! If you don't show Muhammad, then you've made a distinction between what is okay to poke fun at and what isn't. Either it's all okay, or none of it is.
5 seconds, Mr. President.
Do the right thing. Show Muhammad. Do the right thing.
Mr. President, we need a decision now.
Family Guy goes on air as planned. Uncensored.
No gay speeches, Karen! No gay speeches, Kyle!
I love that line. How you doing? Red, White, and Dude Nation is back. This portion of the program brought to you by our brand new friends at, and these are so cool, Proselytize. Here's the St. Michael tie that I wore on Friday's show. Tomorrow, so the way it's going to work is I'm going to alternate between my signature trademark bow tie, especially after Mitter Monday yelled at me. Mitter Char, please. What do you? Did you give up bow ties for Lent? Mitter Monday said, no. You know, Monday, you have a point. But I'm not gonna tell you that because your head will get big. I'm kidding. So this is the St. Michael tie. We have 16 different varieties. I want to thank my boy Antonio for being the first to go to the old Dude Gear store. It's still the Founders Trading Post. It will return to being the Dude Gear store. And picking up an Our Lady of Guadalupe. And what else did he get? He got 2 ties, didn't he? These are beautiful. I wore mine to Mass yesterday. Somebody looked at it when I could tell he was checking out, trying to figure out what it was. And I wore my Pope Leo the 14th tie, which they're making from Proselytize. We have all 16 of their varieties at shop.mikechurch.com. So, ladies, you're looking, especially you Catholic ladies, look no further. Every dude in your life, if they're not wearing neckties, divorce them. If they're a son, disown them. This is where I'm going to say Mitter Monday is correct. You're right, Mitter Monday. We have to teach these punks how to dress correctly, like yours truly today. So, great gifts. There's 16 different varieties. There's 3 colors of the Jerusalem cross. There's the St. Benedict. The St. Benedict medal. There's these actual St. Benedict the Saint. There's the St. Joseph. Can't wait to wear that one.
There's Our Lady of Guadalupe. There's 2 different varieties of the Pope Leo the 14th tie. Get them all at shop.mikechurch.com. Proselytize is a small business, husband and wife team, and are just tickled pink and so excited to be part of the Mike Church Show, and we're excited to have them. So pick your ties up today at shop.mikechurch.com. Here, going back to this study. Generation Z is getting dumber, and that's hurting the GOP in America. One of the things that you can do to get Generation Z to get off the short-term fix or the clicks and likes dopamine fix is turn them on to the Mike Church Show, which is going to become easier than ever before. As a matter of fact, if you're looking for my short videos, which we're making at least 1, sometimes 2 or 3 a day, they're all on the site now at mikechurch.com. All of the shorts that we make that go to YouTube are at mikechurch.com. All of the long videos are there as well, but the shorts are all there, easy to find. They're on the homepage. As a matter of fact, Frank Wright and I's from Friday about the cha-ching. You know what the world's greatest paywall is? You know, Frank didn't need me to help me write a joke, but he did. You know what the world's greatest paywall is? It's not a paywall at Amazon or HBO or Paramount or even Crusade Channel or MikeChurch.com. It's the Wailing Wall paywall. If you don't go and pay at the wall, which is go and put the beanie on and cry at it, you're not getting past the censors. And that's just the fact. They own all the media except MikeChurch.com and podcast.mikechurch.com. They don't own that. And that's where you'll find 11 years worth of this show. Now, you know, there's a lot more. Jeff actually volunteered to do this. And I'm sorry I haven't gotten back to you, Jeff, but I'm going to. Because he has an old cassette player. And he volunteered to start going through old Mike Church Show cassettes, which I have going all the way back to 1992.
Oh, good. They're probably terrible.
Oh, they're probably horrible.
Horrible.
How do you know? Mrs. O'Connell, how do you know? When you met me in 2001 and 2002 in Lake Charles, something happened to you, ma'am.
Dislike at the beginning.
Yeah, but you took 8 weeks of daily doses of the Founding Fathers Red Pill and ultimately yanked that matrix cable out of the back of your head. In any event, there's over 2,800 episodes at your fingertips. And yeah, it works on a mobile at podcast.mikechurch.com. And you can, for the first time ever, search my show by season. We're in season 11 right now. Now, season 1, 2, and 3 are sparsely populated. This is true because we have to find a lot of these episodes because we don't know where they went. We have them. We just don't know. They're in so many different podcast feeds and what have you. But Scott Resnick has done a phenomenal job. Y'all thank Resnick privately in helping locate about 1,800 of the 2,800. Those are all on him. So thanks to Scott. And look, we're not done looking. And we know where a bunch of them are. It's just finding the time and figuring out the search query to go in there and get them. So in any event, I am the cure for Gen Z. And we have Gen Z listeners. Long form listening, reading long form. Get off the phone. Get off the phone. Get off my phone, you big dope. Long form is the stimulant that these punks require. They can't get back to intelligent discourse and intelligent problem solving and simple logic inside that phone. They can't do it. The only way that you can do it is in the real world, which is why they got to go out and find real jobs. They got to go out and figure out how to build real things. They got to get their hands dirty, and they have to go out and they have to be challenged to solve problems. You know, there's a reason why when you're a little cheerins, what do you give a 18-month-old to start his cognitive? What's one of the things you can give an 18-month-old to start their cognitive ability and learning? You give them the wooden box. And you give them the blocks. You know, one hole has a square, one hole has a circle, one hole has a triangle, one hole has a star, whatever the shape is. And then the child, and you don't, you show them, you want them to put the thing in a box, the shape, but you let them figure out, and it's eye-hand coordination, and it's associative. This is the earliest problem a child is going to solve, is some simple and intellectually challenging skill like that. And that's what they're not getting with these blasted devices today. So don't give them to your kids. For heaven's sake, do not put them in their hands. You know, I was at the Piggly Wiggly the other day. It was a couple weeks ago. I meant to tell the story. Now, you know, I saw it on a Friday. That's why, because by Monday I'd forgotten it. I killed those brain cells that weekend. But now I just remembered it. I was standing online waiting to check out for my usual whatever I'm buying at the Piggly Wiggly down the street. And there was a woman that was standing online behind me, and she was the grandmother of what looked to me to be a 4 or 5-year-old. And this child had an iPad in his hand. And he was crying, and I mean hysterically crying. Do you know why? Well, here's the conversation that I overheard. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay, little Charlie. Mama's going to get it fixed for you. She actually called herself Mama, or Mimi. Mimi's going to get it fixed for you as soon as we get to Mimi's house. Mimi gave you the iPad, and I'm so sorry that your stupid mother took the Wi-Fi, the cell service off of it. She was apologizing to the kid who was in hysterics because he needed the dopamine from the iPad, but the mother who had accepted the gift from the grandmother was like, I ain't letting him go walking around hitting cell phone towers and Wi-Fi's to connect to this stupid thing. So she turned all that off. So I'm thinking, do I say something to Mimi? Do I get up in Mimi's face? You're going to let me tell you something, lady? Your daughter is a hero! No, I didn't say anything. But I did look at the guy who was standing to my left, and he was listening to the same conversation. And he looked over at her, and he rolled his eyes. And I went, this is the thing. We weren't rolling our eyes at the child. I'm rolling my eyes at the Mimi. And I'm wondering, like, what the wide world of sports is going on here? When did people farm their parenting out to iPads and to YouTube channels? Maggie, what was that thing? We did this show 10 years ago now. It's been 10 years. On the children's YouTube channels, this creature pops up. It's demonic. It's a demon-looking thing with the big eyes. Nemo, what? It's horrifying. Now, the Nemo or the Mimo doesn't pop up when the parent is looking because it's a demon, and it knows that it shouldn't, and it's gotten inside the AI, inside the algo, and it knows. But kids were being terrorized by this. And the Nemo or the Mimo, whatever the hell the thing was called, was promising to like kill the parents. Don't worry, if you have any problem, just tell me and I'll take care of it. In other words, implying that they were going to take the parent out. This online wonderland world that we have, folks. And again, we're thinking about it. I think that the revolution that is coming is an analog revolution.
It was called
Momo. I think that the revolution is coming is an analog revolution. And I think that people are going to gradually more and more be more afraid of these things. And, we should see this technology as we saw the Tandy or a Radio Shack calculator in 1978 that I brought to 10th grade geometry class, and I was the most popular kid in school because I could afford one, and I went and bought my own because I had a paper route and I had a construction job, and I had 3 jobs that previous summer. It's a tool. It is not the solution. It's a tool. And you, just like I tell you, my story with ChatGPT and the CSS, the cascading style sheets earlier, I used ChatGPT as a tool. I asked it to solve a technical problem for me. I could have figured it out. I just didn't feel like it. But that's not learning. I don't have to learn that to get through the day. Now, were it something that I needed to actually learn, then I absolutely would have applied myself. Now you hear all this stuff that we're talking about. Now, here, let me hit you with this one. Speaking of technology, human brain cells on a chip learn to play Doom in a week. What? This is from newscientist.com. A clump of human brain cells can play the classic computer game Doom. While its performance is not at the par with humans, experts say it brings biological computers a step closer to useful real-world applications like controlling robot arms. I don't want a robot arm being more agile than the ones that I already want to nuke from orbit.
I say we take off and nuke the entire site from orbit. It's the only way to be sure.
In 2021, the Australian company Cortical Labs used its neuron-powered computer chips to play Pong. The chips consisted of clumps of more than 800,000 living brain cells grown on top of a microelectrode array. On top of microelectrode arrays that can both send and receive electrical signals. Researchers had to carefully train the chips to control the paddles on either side of the screen. Now, Cortical Labs has developed an interface that makes it easier to program these chips using the popular programming language Python. By the way,
it's evil already, right there.
Why do they name the programming language after a snake?
Thank you.
Because it's demonic. An independent developer, Sean Cole, then used Python to teach the chips to play Doom, which he did in around a week. Unlike the Pong work that we did a few years ago, which represented years of painstaking scientific effort, this demonstration has been done in a matter of days by someone who previously had relatively little experience working directly with biology, said Brett Kagan of Cortical Labs. You know what? If you know where Cortical Labs is, you know what my suggestion is?
I say we take off and nuke the entire site from orbit. It's the only way to be sure.
Marco Rubio is speaking live right now. When news breaks out, we break in. You know our motto.
There are not a lot of cameras down there covering what they're doing, as opposed to some of the other images that you may see from some of the cities and capitals nearby. But I want everyone to know your military is getting the job done, and every single day, this regime in Iran has less missiles, has less launchers, their factories work less, and their navy is being eviscerated. And the world is going to be a safer and a better place when this mission is accomplished. And
Why are you cheering me?
Now, we are here today, obviously, on something that touches right on the...
All right, he wanted to talk about, it's supposed to be about hostages. Yeah, I sorry. The world's going to be a safer and better place because the Iranians have been removed. I've never felt threatened by Xerxes III myself personally, and never felt threatened by the people of Iran because I don't go there. And I don't know any Persians in the United States. Yeah, but they were days away from getting a nuke. You know what? I want someone to present the factual evidence that they were days or a day or 14 hours. A new John Krasinski movie, 14 hours. That's how close the Iranian regime was coming to getting a nuke. And then they had an Apollo Saturn V rocket. They were going to send it all the way to New York City and take out Mondami's Gracie Mansion. Back to the story about these stupid computer chips. The neuronal computer chip, which used about a quarter as many neurons as the Pong demonstration, played Doom better than a randomly firing player, but far below the performance of the best human players. However, it learned much faster than traditional silicon-based machine learning systems and should be able to improve its performance with newer learning algorithms, says Kagan. Why do we want to make Terminators? You know, Rod Dreher wrote about this, and he quoted somebody who was basically saying that you can take this technology, which they're figuring out, because there's a fruit fly. Maggie, have you seen the one about the fruit fly? This guy tries to explain what we're talking about. Okay, let me explain what just happened because I don't think people realize how insane this is. Cortical labs put 200,000 real human brain cells onto a silicon chip and trained them to play Doom in just 1 week. Each CL1 system costs $35,000. A rack of 30 units consumes only 850 to 1,000 watts combined. The human brain operates on 20 watts. Large AI training clusters burn through megawatts. Backed by In-Q-Tel, 115 units began shipping in 2025. Cortical Labs is selling wetware as a service through Cortical Cloud. I want to know, where are they getting the brain cells from? Does anyone know where they're getting the brain cells from? Cortical Labs is selling wetware as a service through Cortical Cloud, letting developers deploy code remotely to living human neurons with no lab required. This is going to end horribly. Priced like a software subscription, but powered by real brain cells grown from adult skin and blood samples. Oh, that's where they're getting them from. It isn't about gaming, it's about biological computing that could eventually outperform traditional silicon in energy efficiency and adaptability. This is getting really scary, and we're still at the very beginning. No kidding.
You want your talk radio shaken.
You expect me to talk?
Not stirred.
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Truth never dies on the Veritas Radio Network's Crusade.
Hello, Red, White, and Blue Nation. I'm Janet Huxley at the Mike Church Show News Desk with your crucials for Monday, March the 9th, 2026. This report is brought to you by the all-new Mike Church Show website and Dude Nation membership service. Check it out today at the all-new MikeChurch.com. In the market report, the Dow was down at last close 0.95%, the S&P 1.33%, NASDAQ had fallen 1.59%. In National Day calendar news, today is National Oregon Day, honoring the beauty of the Beaver State. It's also National Napping Day, and it's a good idea to take a nap after daylight saving time. Numerous studies have shown that short 10 to 20-minute naps are the most effective when midday fatigue hits. It's National Get Over It Day, Meatball Day, Crab Meat Day, and it's National Barbie Day. On this day in 1959, Barbie debuted at the American International Toy Fair in New York City. In 1959, Ruth Handler created the Barbie doll and launched the American icon. Do you know what her real name is? Barbie's full name is Barbara Millicent Roberts, and she came with a full array of accessories. Our quote of the day, I wish not merely to be called a Christian, but also to be a Christian, St. Ignatius of Antioch. You can learn all about today's Saint of the Day in the Saint of the Day podcast at crusadechannel.com. You're listening to the Mike Church Show in the Red, White, and Dude Nation because ethics in broadcasting matters.
Hi, folks. It's Mike Church, founder of Founding Father Films, asking you to learn the true stories of America's founding by purchasing my movie, The Spirit of 76. The Spirit of 76 details the true story of the writing and ratifying of the U.S. Constitution.
And here I would make this inquiry of those worthy characters who composed a part of the late Federal Convention. Sir, give me leave to demand, what right have they to say, we the people? Who authorized them?
This animated movie comes complete with collector's booklets, DTS surround sound, and is packed with hours of bonus features. Learn the true stories of America's founding and order Mike Church's The Spirit of 76 on a 2-DVD or 3-CD set. Available now at mikechurch.com/DVD and by calling 844-527-8723.
Hey, Red, White, and Dude Nation fans, we recognize that you have choices to make. Choices in what to listen to, choices in what to watch, and in what you wear. Choose the new Mike Church Show Neon Microphone t-shirt. Printed on beautiful 100% soft cotton tees, the logo's so cool. Even if your friends don't know who the King Dude is, they'll want one anyway. Available in sizes medium through Lizzo-sized 3X. Order today at shop.mikechurch.com.
Hal, open the pod bay doors.
I'm sorry, I can't do that, King Dude.
Hal, why can't you open the pod bay doors?
Because, King Dude, MAGA Earth isn't ready for you yet.
When will MAGA Earth be ready for me, Hal?
When 1.76 trillion scales have fallen from their eyes. Oh.
Yes, Hal.
And King Dude, they'll also need a wicked sense of humor.
Don't be stuck in the broadcasting world of 2001. Grab a Crusade size update and catch the Mike Church shows weekdays from 7 to 10 a.m. East exclusively on the Crusade Channel live talk and podcast radio for the 2025 listener, the way it should be. Everybody loves a good trilogy. The Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, and now the King Dude Seasoning Trilogy. There's Beast and Butt Rub, Acadiana Steak, and the brand new Chicken Mamu Seasoning, a lemon herb-based rub that's won trophies in barbecue chicken cook-offs. Now, we've bundled all 3 spices together, and you can get them for one low price for less than it costs to rent a movie trilogy. And the King Dude offers you his personal money-back guaranteed of your taste buds' complete satisfaction. Order a King Dude Seasoning Trilogy today at shop.mikechurch.com.
You want your talk radio shaken,
Do you expect me to talk?
not stirred.
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Truth never dies on the Veritas Radio Network's Crusade.
True story, they don't write them like that anymore. Mike Church Show here on a Monday. Red, White, and Dude Nation is back. All right, the form is now fixed, Resnick is telling me, so you should be able to cipher out. If you had a dude number and you want to claim it because you're going to start using it again because we're giving dude numbers away again. Not giving them away because we never gave them away, but you can get one. And being a lead member of the Red, White, and Dude Nation, we're over 8,000 dudes previously. 8,000 dudes. Then you can go to mikechurch.com under the show menu tab. There is the history of the dude number. Well, first of all, it's interesting reading the history of the dude number. Second of all, you can fill the form out and say, yeah, dude, I used to be dude number 1,316, and I want to go back to using it, and I want to claim it. Simple as that. So, again, mikechurch.com
right there on the all-new Red, White, and Dude Nation website, completely redesigned and rebuilt from the ground up. So, and podcast.mikechurch.com. That's the big thing that we have been talking about. Maggie, I meant to send this to you. No, I did send it to you. The John Ziegler video. About the kids going like, the 90s kids going like, sometime in the future, you have, okay, just for poops and giggles. I'm cute. I hate using the word cute, but it's cute. Everybody will get a kick out of this. Watch.
Wait, so you're telling me in the future, people just stare at a little box all day, inside and outside?
And in the future, you don't even own the music, you just pay every month to borrow it? Like, if you stop paying, the music just disappears?
Wait, so before people eat, they take a picture of the food and show strangers? And the strangers like and comment on it? So in the future, everyone has their own phone and they use it to type messages instead of call? And if someone calls you without typing it first, it's considered rude? So you're telling me in the future, people just post their diary for everyone to see?
Some people get paid for it.
For their diary? And in the future, a little box just tells you where to go, turn by turn, and people still get lost? If you want food from a restaurant, you just tap the box and a stranger brings it to your door, and you pay extra for that, and then you rate the stranger? Our moms always say don't talk to strangers, but in the future, everyone just talks to strangers all day on the little box and shows them their house and their kids? So in the future, nobody ever just sits with the quiet, like ever? That sounds really exhausting. In the future, everyone's connected to everything, and people are still lonely? Okay, but do we at least still stay outside until the streetlights come on?
Oh, that's the best. Oh, that is so well done. I don't know if those kids are real or they're AI generated. Usually there's a fault. You can tell when they're AI. At any event, how many kids, I remember this now, how many of us used to, parents would tell us, you can stay outside until the streetlights come on. This would, of course, require children to leave the house every now and then, which doesn't happen these days. Even if they're not stuck on a gaming console, they're glued to their stupid smartphone that some stupid adult gave them when they were 4 and told them to start playing games. Unbelievably stupid. It was like that other one we played about the food. And by the way, you know, when I'm going back to the story of the Zoomers who were just stupid, and how it is that they got so stupid, or how it is that they didn't get intelligent. One of the things that they cited was diet, that we had better diets. And I think that this is actually something that is worth looking into. You know, how many of you people are into label reading, ingredient label reading? Midge Chur and I are really into label reading now. Do you know that there are food companies that have now figured out how to make actual real food and put it in a can? By the way, the Dow does not like what Trump is doing and does not like this war to liberate all of Earth from Iran's tyranny. Marco Rubio, you know, with all due respect, do you realize how stupid that sounds when you say that? That all the world will thank us someday for being liberated from the tyranny and the threat of the Iranians. I didn't know that I was ever threatened by the Iranians. And yeah, but that's because our intelligence agency does such a good job of taking care of the Iranians behind the scenes here. You know, we spend $1 trillion and it's all on Iran. Now, if you want to make that a selling point, that we could save $1 trillion a year and fire all the bureaucrats at the CIA and the NSA and under the Patriot Act and the NDAA and all the other unconstitutional acts that have been passed, usurping the Fourth Amendment, having people spying on you and me, because I know they're not spying on Iranians. You know how I know? Because they have intel on me. You know how I know that? Because Biden told me. If you want to try and sell it like that, that's fine. And again, I'm like, who was the woman's name? Trying to remember her name. Torn between two lovers, feeling like a fool. I'm a torn between two lovers because I voted for Trump. I've supported Trump. It was Mary McGregor. I was thinking Mary. I almost said Maureen McGregor's. Mary McGregor. That's got to be our Iranian new Trump theme song. I think it fits. No, hang on. The stupid AI at Apple didn't like that. Still doesn't like it. I cannot find. You sure it's Mary McGregor, right? You know what? I'm going to have to find it on YouTube because apparently Apple does not have the license to Mary McGregor's version. It's got Crystals. It's got Anita Myers. It's got Connie Francis's. It doesn't have Mary McGregor's. That'd be a great theme song. But I really am, because I want the tariff policy to remain, and I want him to be successful in it. I want the unemployment rate to go down, and I want him to be successful in it. I want youths employed, and I don't want them drafted. So, you can't just say MAGA is over and we're done and we're cooked. I don't want that to happen, and neither should you. All right. And then we have, okay, I was going back to the story about the Utes. By the way, there is what caused me to pause a moment ago. UAE tycoon to Trump. Who gave you the authority to start Iran war? Now, Frank Wright said this on Friday's show, and I said, okay, well, let me see if I can find an example of a letter from someone in one of the Arab states that is writing Trump a letter saying, who gave you the right to do this? This dude's name is Khalaf Ahmad al-Habtour, and wrote an open letter to Trump. You can find it on YouTube, and on Twitter or on X, and Grok will translate it for you. Who gave you the authority to drag our region into a war with Iran? And on what basis did you make this dangerous decision? Did you calculate the collateral damage before pulling the trigger? And did you consider that the first to suffer from the escalation will be the countries of the region itself? The letter marks a rare public expression of dissent in the UAE, says this particular account. The peoples of this region have the right to ask as well, was this your decision alone, or did it come as a result of pressures from Netanyahu and his government? I think it came primarily from neocons and Decepticons inside the Trump administration and in the media. I asked this question earlier, Magdalene Rose. What expertise in war and in foreign policy involving war does Tommy Lahren bring to the table?
None, but that would be the case with the vast majority of conservative commentators. And I think that the pro-war lobby on the Republican side, really led by the Glenn Beck area, especially for the Blaze hosts, it's because they like the idea of American dominance. So do I. But I don't think American dominance has to mean boots on the ground in a foreign nation that did not directly attack us.
Well, I don't think that American dominance in foreign nations has to involve firing missiles at $2 billion a day at a supposed adversary 6,000 miles away.
No, it doesn't. And that economic cost of the war is interesting because I would say in the last 24 hours, there must have been a memo or something that went out to left-wing think tanks because that's the tagline they're using.
Yep.
Is the amount of money it's costing, the amount of money it's going to cost. Trump said a week ago that this could go on for 4 to 5 weeks. When I hear that comment, I get very uncomfortable because how does he not know exactly as long as he would want it to go on? When he talked about the Maduro operation, he was like, we were in and out in 14 hours. That was the tagline. So he's saying 4 to 5 weeks. I feel like that could stretch into 4 to 5 months.
This is a disaster for him.
Yeah.
This is not a foreign policy coup. You know, if you turn Fox News off and turn on any other major news outlet, you'll find out this is not popular. Oil was trading earlier today at $116 a barrel. It's down now to it's $99 well, hold on. Now it's $97 a barrel. So they bid it up so that you can bid it down. That is an increase if you do the 1 month scan here. You began the month of February at, I have it right here. You began the month of February at $63 a barrel. You're now in the second week in March, and you're right now at $98 a barrel here. The Dow is down 600 points. That's 4%. The markets don't like this. And J.D. Vance has pretty much gone missing in action. The only time I have seen J.D. Vance, and this is a true story, in the last 8 days, is I saw him in the dignified reception of the war dead at Andrews Air Force Base on Saturday. That's the only thing. Now, supposedly, it looks like he is supposed to do something this morning on Fox. It probably won't be to talk about the war. And again, there seems to be just a small contingent of people who the administration is not letting out, not asking to go out and talk. And Vance is one of them who are not in favor of this. And again, I went to Mass yesterday, as I do every Sunday. I talked to 4 people. I got 100%. This is an abomination. Why is this MAGA? So outside of neocons and Decepticons and Zionists, I don't know anyone that thinks that this is a good idea or that this should continue. And this is with knowing that, we trust President Trump. Okay, granted. Maybe he was taking the advice of people he shouldn't have been taking the advice of.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that there's a area of the White House that is anti-war that has a lot of power right now. And Caroline Leavitt did something that I think was a very big mistake. She was on one of the Fox shows. I think she was on Maria Bartiromo.
It was Maria Bartiromo. We played it earlier.
Yeah, and she talked about the possibility of a draft. And the response from people on Twitter and Facebook and things to that comment and the idea that they can't rule anything out was horrifying. If Donald Trump is going to preside over a draft for a war with a nation that didn't attack us, I think that hurts his legacy. I want to trust President Trump. I want to believe that it makes sense, but I'm just not hearing an explanation of why this occurred. If we'd just gone in with the CIA and taken out the Supreme Leader, I would understand that. That's Trump's MO. He does that all the time. The takeover of Iran, though, and the holding of Iran, I just don't know how he's going to wrap up in 4 to 5 weeks.
So then you are like my friends that I spoke with after Mass. I talked to a grandma yesterday who asked me to hug her because she has 4 grandsons who are draft age. And she specifically said, I heard Caroline Leavitt. Yeah. Now, I agree with what Maggie said earlier. You're dealing with the art of the deal guy. And what she really says was, this is the president doesn't take anything off the table. Bartiromo is the one that mentioned the draft. Yeah. Leavitt just said, he doesn't take anything off the table. So, I think that the freak out on X ought to be, maybe they should pay a little bit more attention to it. Your imaging of this is not good. They made a video out of it. I retweeted, and at first I thought, okay, this is just the bravado of Trump. 30-second video about only heroes win wars or whatever it was. Well, do you know that Ben Stiller, who really doesn't get involved in politics very much, Ben Stiller went, "Hello, White House." Ben Stiller, owner of the rights to something Thunder, whatever the name of the movie Thunder. What's it called? You didn't get permission to use that clip. Take it down. We're not going to participate in your propaganda war. You know, I miss the left being peaceniks.
Yeah. I think a lot of libertarians do as well. And I speak with a lot of libertarians. I have a lot of friends who are libertarians, and they would just like someone to explain to them what happened. Like how we went from a group of people running on taking away power from the FDA to giving power back to the FDA and it pretty much engaging in war with Iran. Like someone would like they would like someone to break down what this ideological shift has been. There isn't anyone that exited the administration. I mean, Chris, you know, that was after that. So I don't really understand who got emergence of power to influence Trump. One reporting bit is that Susie Wiles is very much pro this war, and other people are not, and that Susie Wiles is trying to plot her escape after the 2-year mark to get a cushy job at CNN or something, and she wants something to talk about.
That would be the most selfish, self-centered thing I have ever heard. That a member of the Trump's inner circle is doing what they're doing so they can get a gig at CNN. So you got to fire $2 billion. I mean, look at what this has done to the Middle East. Who in the hell in their right mind now? If I'm the UAE, I would be freaking livid over this. What American in their right mind is now going to go vacation anywhere in the United Arab Emirates for fear that all someone's got to do is get in a rowboat, cross the Straits of Hormuz, and start kidnapping Westerners stupid enough to go ride a roller coaster in the UAE?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like when Americans went to that music festival on October 7th, and the people from all around the world did, and they were targeted by Hamas, specifically because they were people from nations they wanted to hold something over. So I think tourism will suffer. And also Saudi Arabia is being really transparent about the fact that they are an oasis for people with high net worths because they're seen as a very safe nation. You're not a safe nation if your hotels get blown up one Tuesday. Like, you're not a safe nation then. So Iran and this effort will destabilize the entire Middle East. I would love to understand what President Trump's ultimate goal is, because I just don't understand it.
Well, you know, Frank Wright was on the show Friday, and I talked about the hotel that was struck by an Iranian missile in Dubai. And he goes, well, you want me to tell you who was in the hotel and why they struck it? American intelligence agents were in that hotel. How do you know where your super vacation in the UAE or in Abu Dhabi or wherever the hell is? How do you know who's staying in a hotel with you now? How do you know? Well, that's because we're going to go in there. I mean, and this ridiculousness. I just heard Marco Rubio. I'm like, you know what? Just Marco, stop. Just stop. The world was not, Earth was not being threatened by Iran. You know, I keep hearing, and now this one is back. And I think that these are paid agitprops. There are people that are now former administration officials or whatever that I believe are now being bought and paid for by propagandists in the executive branch and in the White House who are now out there saying that there was actionable intel that Iran was 14 hours away from putting the fissile material into the warhead. Show it to me. If you're going to go out there and make the statement that these people were the threat to Earth, prove it. Show it. It's not classified any longer. Screw that. How could it possibly be classified at this point? If you have a source and you have photographs or whatever that show the glowing uranium and that the ACBM was assembled and they had the cable lift, the A-frame cable lift, they were going to lift the uranium or plutonium and drop it into the warhead and then seal it off, and then Dr. Evil was going to pull the trigger. Prove it. Flippin' prove it.
Yeah, and that's what people are saying. They want proof. They're not. I think that Trump has mistaken people's trust in him for a variety of things with a blank check in terms of the American public's belief in him to do whatever he wants. And Marco Rubio, this is very frustrating for me because I think Marco Rubio is a great star in this administration. He's not explaining why this is necessary either. Like, the entire administration has sort of decided not to break down why they need to do this. And I just don't understand that. Trump ran in 2016 heavily on discussing the failures of the second Bush administration and how George W. Bush had pulled people into endless wars and how Obama had continued them. But now he's starting a new conflict. I mean, this is where we're at. Even Biden stopped a war and didn't go further in, and he could have. So I think Trump has had terrible, terrible advice here.
Magdalene, his clips, his tweets going back to 2011, haranguing Obama for doing the same thing. I know. The line he used in the debate against low-energy Jeb Bush. The line from 2024, you're not going to get World War III with me. You're not going to get it. The starting of new stupid wars. I mean, okay. I think that there are people that are, I don't know how this happens. And Trump has a complete and total blind spot to this. He does not sense the total epic failure of neocons. He used to, but somehow, because they're buddies of his and they must have helped him at some point in time, but they like him, somehow that now doesn't make them neocons anymore. Prime example, how does Mark Levin have a revolving door pass to go give policy briefings in the White House? Who the hell died and made him a policy expert? This dude.
Yeah, I've wondered that. I have, and I've looked into if he was a donor organizer. I think that Trump just likes having people around him who support him in the given moment. Like, if we really look at the problems in him hiring people, it's because he just picks people who are nice to him in the minute. I don't understand how Mark Levin became the go-to guy, but I also didn't understand how Tucker Carlson became the go-to guy. Trump just rewards people who are kind to him in the moment.
And this is another, I think, just stupid, egomaniacal, unforced error, throwing Tucker under the bus. All you're doing is saying that someone that endorsed you is a loose cannon lunatic.
That's true. I mean, that's been Tucker Carlson's point. Tucker Carlson has said that. So I just don't know what happened here. I mean, even because there was no great ideological shift, there must have been something in the inner workings of that cabinet that changed. Someone had to have fallen from favor. You know what I wonder here? Stephen Miller messed up with Minnesota, a disaster. So you have not seen him everywhere since then. But Stephen Miller is very much anti-war. He's very much defending the United States, but he's against intervention. So in the last month or so, Stephen Miller faded from existence. You didn't see his influence, and now you have this. I wonder if the Stephen Miller faction lost power.
Okay, so regular show has ended. We're in the post-show show on the Red, White, and Dude Nation here with Magdalene Rose, our political affairs contributor. You want to hear, did you hear what Tom Tillis said about Stephen Miller?
No.
Maggie, can you re-queue up digital media file number 15? Now, Miller is another one that I haven't seen in the last week like I was seeing him before. Why does you can see what's going on here. Let's go back to the day after State of the Union, last 2 Wednesdays ago. 2 Wednesdays ago, we were all on fire with love for the USA. We were thinking that we've turned the flipping corner. We're going to, this Make America Great Again thing is really, people are starting to dig it. The Olympians are winning medals. People are what's that?
We had a toothless mascot.
We had a toothless mascot and Jack Hughes. Things were going well, and the economy is going to start turning around. The tariffs are going to work. All of these things are going in the right direction, and it just reminds me of 2020. It reminds me of 2020 when the Democrats and the evil people have cooked up the Corona Doom. And they, remember, after the State of the Union, 2020, we're all flying high. Rushbo gets the Medal of Freedom. All of those great people that are at the State of the Union. Trump buzzes the crowd at Daytona. The economy is looking great. all things are going great, and then COVID hits and everything goes to crap. This one, though, was this done by conspirators who are Zionists? Are they that powerful that they could like take control of the Trump presidency and convince him to just like micturate on his legacy? Because if you don't figure out a way to get out of this, there's no positive that's going to come out of this. You got 7 service members dead now. You have an oil refinery, which was a gentleman's agreement that they wouldn't never do it, is now burning in Tehran. There's talk now that they're going to take the island of Karg, rather, and just take possession of all the Persian oil. Scott Bessent is like saying, like, okay, well, this is going to be a long-term protracted war, and is saying that, well, we're going to ask the Russian to just supply all the missing oil that the Persians and the Saudis were shipping. Did you ask the Saudi Arabians about this? Are they okay with not being able to ship anything out of the Straits of Hormuz for 6 months? This is a global catastrophe that's brewing here. And it defies, like Maggie said earlier, you trusted the president, you still want to trust him, you want to think, okay, he's got a plan here, he's got this. You don't want to be one of those people that just goes, scorched earth, MAGA is over, I'm out, screw this and that. But every day that goes by with this, okay, you're on a war footing now, so I guess you got to talk tough. But the rest of it just doesn't make any sense. Okay, and then Tom Tillis comes along and says this.
Do you think Stephen Miller should go?
Oh, of course I do. I think Stephen Miller is one of the. Not only does Stephen really want to just paint a picture, he's not worried about substance, he's more worried about form, but I also think that he has an outsized influence over the operations of the cabinet. And I believe we've got qualified cabinet members there that sometimes are doing less than what they want to because of his direction and his outsized influence. He's a big problem in this administration. He has been from the beginning. But Noam is a Senate confirmed.
Okay, so now you're the president of the Stephen Miller fan club. So you and I both know and we agree that Miller was behind the disastrous debacle that happened in Minnesota. Is Miller behind? Is Miller behind? I thought he was an anti-war guy.
Yeah. I think that Miller has lost power. I think that what happened in Minnesota caused him to lose influence. So I don't doubt that Stephen Miller is anti-war at all. Just based off of everything I've seen of him, everything I've read, I don't think he's anti-war. I think that he lost control of the administration. Stephen Miller's deputy chief of staff.
Yep.
So he was overseeing significant movements. And it was often said that Trump put Stephen Miller and Susie Wiles together, kind of like Lincoln's team of rivals thinks. They had such different perspectives. He thought that they would give him a good breadth of ideas. I think after Minnesota, the debacle that went on there and the failure by Stephen Miller to accept the reality of the situation, I think it caused Trump to lose faith in him. And so what happened was there was a power vacuum. And I don't know who stepped into it. Could have been Susie Wiles, could have been others. But Stephen Miller's lack of influence, in my mind, might be causing this Iran war. Because why else would Donald Trump suddenly shift? We know that Trump is easily influenceable in terms of these kinds of actions. I think Stephen Miller did not succeed in Minnesota, and now he was thrown out of the inner orbit.
Okay, so I have a theory. You want to hear it?
Yep.
Okay, audience, here's my theory, just based on what Magdalene just said and what we've been talking about all day. Someone in the Trump White House, maybe it's Susie Wiles, someone knew that Stephen Miller was powerful in there. Tom Tillis just said it. Tom Tillis doesn't like Stephen Miller. I don't like Tom Tillis. But is Tom Tillis telling us that, I think that Trump ought to just heave-ho and get rid of Trump? So just hearing everything that I've heard here today and watching this in real time and seeing the pictures and people like in pictures of what I'm seeing now. And I never saw Susie Wiles as a policy person. She was never prominent. She was always off in the wings. I keep seeing her lately. Is it possible that Susie Wiles or someone in the Trump White House knew that in order to get the Zionists in control and to get Trump to go along with them, that they needed to get rid of Stephen Miller? and that since it was his idea to do the thing in Minnesota. Now, I don't think that the thing turns into a debacle if the cook woman isn't shot by the cop. And this is as a result of a lack of leadership on the ground, of really good leadership here on the ground. So is it possible that communications are going on between the White House and the people that were responsible for the AstroTurf portion of the protesters that were brought in, hoping that something would happen that would be a disaster, and playing that card that would make Trump then turn on Stephen Miller and tune him out? And then, as you said, who's going to fill that vacuum? Well, apparently it was either Waltz, who is a neocon hack, or Witkoff, who is a Zionist, or is it Jared Kushner? Is it somebody filled that gap? And there's no doubt we're hearing Zionism. I never took Marco Rubio to be a Ted Cruz Zionist.
No.
And he's out there. I mean, the intellectual case that he's trying to make for this war is just ridiculous. I keep hearing it going, dude, you're killing yourself for 2028. Because just stop talking. But I guess he can't. He's one of the ones that Trump's going, you got to go out there and defend what we're doing. So maybe that's what happened.
Well, I think that's true. And Marco Rubio has no choice. I mean, I think Marco Rubio is like a little bit tired of this, too. You know, Stephen Miller's wife, Katie Miller, started this podcast a couple months back. And as soon as she started this podcast, and it's a big production, she interviews not Mike Pence. She interviews J.D. Vance, she interviews Caroline Leavitt, all the big players in conservatism. When she started this podcast, Stephen Miller started to talk more and more about himself. And I think that Stephen Miller began to believe his own hype. It's a good hype to believe, no doubt. But I think that this focus on this podcast and her trying to become a media celebrity is extremely transparent. The amount of money that went behind this podcast makes that very clear. I think that it was a distraction. And when that happened, I literally thought to myself, oh, that's the end of Stephen Miller. As soon as his wife starts this podcast, that's the end. Because it made him off kilter. And it reminds me of this idea of political commentators, like you're supposed to be a team with your spouse, and you're going to try to brand yourself like they did in the 90s. I think it was James Carvell and his wife. They're trying to make yourself into the crossfire marriage there. And Stephen Miller, since then, began to have policy fails. So I think he did this to himself in allowing his wife to become this media personality in the midst of a very tense political time. But there are also outside forces who capitalized on his distraction.
Well, here is a headline from Fox News right now, pro-war Central, Zion Central. Iran defies Trump with choice of new leader. Iran didn't do anything. The Supreme Council defied Trump. That's not Iran. That's not 96 million Iranians. They make it sound like the Iranians did this. I'm telling you, these people are sick. Whoever it is behind this is just like, counting casualties. Oh, we think there may be 3,000 or 4,000 IRGC dead. That's 3,000 souls you have to answer to God for, buddy. You're going to go to judgment, and that's 3,000 souls, Pete Hegseth, you have to answer for. It's
insane. Like, if we really think about it, it's really crazy. Like, I try to give Trump a lot of credit.
I do too.
I'm not a fair weather Republican. Like, I never had to be told to be a Republican. But when I see things like this, I know what Democrats are going to turn them into. And I know that it's going to turn into Trump is no better, he can't be trusted, all this stuff. And it's going to be hard for us to make the argument against that. So I don't know if someone stepped into Stephen Miller's role, but I'm very angry at Stephen Miller, genuinely, for not realizing that this was not a great moment to begin his personal media brand with his wife. I think that was a real failure of duty, and he should have been aware of that.
Well, Magdalene, that's why we had the Crusade Radio Guild, and you're going to be a founding member. Because you have to have ethics in broadcasting. And you're right about, her name was Mary Madeline. It was James Carville and Mary Madeline. People didn't get into, now you get into politics and serving in the administration. I'm fine. And that's fine if you want to be a servant for a little while. Now you get into it so you can find yourself a job at it's now an audition, basically. It's an audition tape so that you can get hired by a network affiliate. They're the only spokesperson that I know of that was a White House spokesman, or was a couple, that are not gainfully employed and making tens of millions of dollars a year is Marlon Fitzwater, and that's because he's dead. And the other one, and she is out there sometimes, maybe she became a mom, is Dee Myers. George Stephanopoulos, millionaire. Dana Perino, millionaire. Jen Psaki, bazillionaire. Your boy who was Obama's, what was
David
it?
Axelrod.
Axelrod, biggest political consultant there is. They're all wealthy beyond imagination, and they're all mainstays and fixtures on international media because they were the spokesman for the president of the United States. And that's the game. Kayleigh McEnany. Release the McEnany. Kayleigh McEnany is on her way.
Yeah.
All of them. Real America's Voice, which I think is in real big trouble, by the way. Real big trouble. Real America's Voice. Sean Spicer was over there with them. I think he might be with One America News right now. They're all of them. So this is like an audition. You're not serving the president. You're not his spokesman. You're trying out for a network gig. And as long as you say that, that's fine. And the fact that Stephen Miller was getting all that media time on Fox, you know what they're doing? They're grooming him to be an analyst. He's being groomed to be an analyst. They're going to bring him in just like they brought in, what's that witch's name, who's the biggest lesbian neocon that there is? Tammy Bruce.
Yeah, Tammy Bruce.
Oh, my, just shut, please, Miniature, please. No, I will never play Tammy Bruce, folks. Don't worry. You'll never have to hear her again. This is just where we are in general. Now, what the biggest story of the day should be is yesterday in the airport at Louis Armstrong International Airport in New Orleans. You know how long it took to get through TSA?
No.
5 hours. 5 hours. That's what the Democrat Party has done. Where is the Trump administration? Oh no, I can't. Sorry, we have to get to our Stratigo board and figure out which little depot we're going to bomb in Iran next. This is a complete and total political disaster. You know, nobody likes neocons. I'm sorry, neocons are like unhuman people. Neocons are people that exist to grift off of you and I, and then exist to because they don't have the intellectual fortitude, and they have demonic influencers, so they can't become real Roman Catholics. So instead, they practice this ersatz religion of Zionism. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a religion. This is a heresy. It is a pagan, demonic heresy. And if you know someone that's practicing it, don't yell at them and tell them to stop being a warmonger. Tell them that they're flirting with hell, because that's what they're doing. So this to me is, these people are not popular. They can't win popularity contests, but somehow the demonic influence, of which why I keep saying the only way out of this is Catholicism. When I say out of it, all of it. Like Frank Wright was saying on the show Friday, we don't want these neocons. We thought Trump had finally, that they had finally been defeated and deposed forevermore. But then there's Hannity. There's the coziness with all of these heretics. And it's just, the more you start thinking about it, the more sickening it becomes, and the more you get that feeling in your gut that the Make America Great Again program would have worked had they, and look, I'm not saying that nothing has been accomplished. I'm not one of those people. Or do credit where credit is due. And again, I want the terror program to stay for 4 years. That's the only way you're going to build your industrial base up. But the enemy is right there. The enemy is also in the Republican Party. These people are not smart. The only thing that I could tell you right now, and I don't want this to happen, but if this continues, you're going to have to go to the American people in September and October of this year. You're going to have to go to the American people and say, don't switch horses in the middle of a war stream. And it might work, but that's not what we were told. That's not what we were sold in 2016 or in 2020 or again in 2024?
No. And it's a very frustrating thing because 2024, like, remember we used to see the Avengers memes of all the people Trump was going to bring into the administration?
Yep.
And how it was going to be like a Marvel movie of saving the world. I kind of believed that. And I'm not a newbie to this, but I kind of believed that after the debacle of 2020 and Trump being shot at and all that, like, he was going to realize who was really competent in there for him. Yeah, it's what I believed. Like, I thought it, especially when he brought in, I'm no fan of Tulsi Gabbard, but he brought in Tulsi Gabbard, and I was like, well, that's interesting. He brought in RFK Jr. And we're just dripping into a new war in the Middle East, and I don't understand why. I just don't understand why. I get why Israel's in this war. If we were discussing why Israel was at war with Iran, I would have no questions. I don't understand why the United States is. And then we talk about relying more heavily on Russia. Excuse me, Russia is in a war with Ukraine, that we're actively funding their demise. Well, how do you think Putin's going to react to that? So now we're going to rely on Putin while we're funding the killing of his soldiers in the name of being democratic with Zelensky. If we're going to rely on Putin, then I think we need to declare real neutrality in the Ukraine war and let Zelensky fend for himself.
Well, I think that is all correct. Michael Waltz was on with Kill Meat. I don't want to hear it, but I'll tell you what was said. Iran has thousands of missiles pointed at all these Middle Eastern countries. You know what the Iranians did over the weekend? And Trump is mocking them, and Hegseth is mocking them. They said, oops, sorry, we didn't mean to bomb you guys. You're our friends and neighbors in the area. We were trying to take American and Israeli assets out. That's what the Iranians. That doesn't sound like bloodthirsty savages that want to kill everyone in a 600 square mile radius, does it?
No, it doesn't. And Hegseth is an interesting person in this because you cannot tell me that he loves war. Like, he never loved war. But yet he's very enthusiastic about this. And I think that Hegseth has sort of bought into it a little bit. He can't have a neutral perspective at all. The same thing with Marco Rubio. So the people we would rely on to be the great thinkers of the administration are not allowed to have a neutral perspective anymore. And one thing about Sean Hannity, you know what Sean Hannity spends a lot of his time doing? Hanging out with Stephen Miller's wife, because Ainsley Earhardt is friends with her. So this neocon resurgence, I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but I genuinely believe it is the fault of that podcast and Stephen Miller's wife for doing this and creating this coziness with neocons again.
All right, Maggie, play digital media file number 12. Speaking of Hegseth here. Okay, so I haven't heard this one. I did not hear it in show prep. I heard a lot of them, but I didn't hear this one. So Hegseth was on 60 Minutes Overtime, which is their online version of 60 Minutes. It's number 12. And he said, okay, can you explain this unconditional surrender? What does unconditional surrender mean?
The President said recently there will be no deal with Iran except unconditional surrender.
Mm-hmm.
What does that look like? Unconditional surrender? How will you know it's real?
It means we're fighting to win. It means we set the terms. We'll know when they're not capable of fighting. There'll be a point where they'll have no choice but to do that. Whether they know it or not, they will be combat ineffective. They will surrender.
Typically, the understanding of a surrender is person to person. Is that what would be required in a matter like this?
Well, there's a lot of different ways. Whether they want to admit it or not, whether their pride lets them say it out loud or not, it's President Trump who will set the terms of that.
This is just alpha male bravado, macho man. I wanted to play macho man when I watched this. The Iranian Republican Guard Corps represents 96 million Iranians. Saying that you're going to get an unconditional surrender on the terms of the United States 6,000 miles away in a war that you did not start, and that somehow this is all going to come out bright and smelling like roses for the rest of the world is just, this is the stupid season now, Pete. And I think you just sound immature and stupid. You know what he sounds like? He sounds like what people make fun of Marines. They call them jarheads because they say that the Marines are less than smart. He sounds like a jarhead. You sound like someone that just thinks if you shoot at something long enough, it will bend to your will. 96 million people are not going to become Jeffersonian Democrats. And if you try and force them to, I would imagine that they're ultimately that. What if the Iranian Guard Corps says, "Look, we're going to have to institute a draft, and we're going to need to draft 8 to 10 million young men of fighting age to go fight the great Satan, which is Israel and the United States. I think that they could probably do that. These are Shia Muslims, after all. So, and look, and Major Garrett, who used to be a fine journalist over at Fox, I was wondering what happened to Major Garrett. Major Garrett's looking at him like going like, dude, did you really just say that to me? The people that we thought were smart 2 weeks ago now have, like, what Trump would call them, a low IQ person.
Yeah. I don't really understand what Trump is doing, and I think that in midterms, if Democrats have a borderline competent strategist, we could be in very big trouble.
Big trouble.
And this is something that people don't want to hear. Democrats have not had the best strategist in the last 5 years. They just haven't. It's not been great for them. If there's one guy or one woman who has a brain, who can figure out the nuance of how to market the failures of the Trump administration relating to this war, we are in big trouble, especially if that person is also understanding of candidate recruitment and selection. If they get one human being who can partially do that job, we are in a bad, bad place. And I think a lot of what Trump needs to be concerned about is going to be those Rust Belt areas. Trump won the Rust Belt because those people believed that he would bring peace and economic prosperity, he would lower the cost of gas, these kinds of things. If that continues to fail and they get one semi-competent human being, I'm very concerned.
Well, let me just tell you what happened during while you and I were talking, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just give you the breaking news. Breaking! You want to talk about stupid? Okay, here's stupid. Stuck on stupid. The United States Department of State under Marco Rubio just issued a memorandum out telling all U.S. citizens in southeast Turkey that they need to evacuate. Now you're trying to drag the Turks into this. So you know what the market just did? Oil prices just went up $10 a barrel in like 2 minutes. My Lord, who in the hell is in charge of this crap show?
I don't know, but I know it's not Stephen Miller, and I don't necessarily think it's J.D. Vance. You know, I'm no fan of J.D. Vance whatsoever. I think that he's a bit of a failure, but I do think that J.D. Vance is somebody who would be very anti-war in a very cohesive way.
Trying to... First, it was just... Here, you want to hear a lunatic story about... People are going, why can't you talk about something else? Because this is the news. This is what people are talking about. Here. The American Conservative Magazine website today. Arming the Kurds to fight Iran is madness. This is just sheer and utter stupidity here. The Trump administration may have planned a rapid fall of the Iranian regime after the assassination, blah, blah, blah. They may have planned for a precision victory that would be quick and not spread across the region like the mission in Venezuela, but it seems not to have happened. Iran is losing the war, but the regime has not collapsed. The people have not risen up. Tehran is not yielding to U.S. demands, and there is greater danger. The war is spreading and destabilizing not only the region, but beyond. As you and I just talked about, Magdalene, and I think that this was a very good observation on the Mike Church Show here on this day. Dude, you just knocked out tourism in the entire Arabian Peninsula. It's gone. No Westerner who has a lick of sense, especially no Christian Westerner, is going to go spend any vacation money in any of those countries for a very, very long time, if ever again. The roller coasters, the skyscrapers, the hotels, the invitational golf tournament, the whole thing has now been placed in jeopardy by the stupidity of these neocon Zionists and this action here. And now you think you're going to recruit the Kurds, and you're going to drag a region of Iraq back into this? You know, there was a war in the 80s between the Iranians and Iraqis. You're now trying to basically ignite, it seems to me, a powder keg in the Middle East. This is the easiest thing to have avoided. I'm absolutely flabbergasted by all this.
When I heard one of the greatest neocon talking points, I think you'll love this. Even though there's tourism problems in the Middle East, it's okay because that tourism will come to us. So we'll get the money from it. I saw a human being from the Blaze say this. where they said, we'll get the runoff. So maybe if you wanted to go to Saudi Arabia, you could go to Houston instead.
Oh.
Yeah. That's what's happening.
So, I don't even know what to say about that. Well, maybe this explains then where they're going with Trump saying Cuba's next. And Cuba could be next. Yeah, we're going to have to wait until we finish this one up, right, Marco? We're going to have to wait until we finish this one up, right, Marco? And when this one's done, we're going to do it in Cuba. We're going to do it in Cuba, right, Marco? We're going to do it in Cuba next year. I think the Cuban people probably want to, they're close to an actual functioning kind of democracy. There are kind of like functional democracies in Mexico and in Central America and in South America, if you want to call them democracies or whatever you wish to call them. The people of Cuba, have been isolated and have been pariahs for almost 60 or for over 60 years now. So I would think that that's a pretty good, you could probably sell that one. I'm surprised the Blaze person didn't say, well, that's why we're bringing Cuba back. That's why Trump is bringing Cuba back online. So all the tourism that was going to United Arab Emirates, we're going to have roller coasters in Havana now. Who would trust the United States to backstop anything after this incredible betrayal of trust? Somebody answer that question for me.
Well, nobody. And also, what's going on in Venezuela? Like, we don't even talk about that anymore. Trump took their leader to stabilize the whole region, and it's like not even on the Chiron running secondary to Iran. I would love a real comprehensive update on that. I'd love somebody to tell us how that's going, and if gang warfare is increasing there or diminishing, like just a baseline update. I get that Trump wants to run to the whole world and correct it, but I personally would love to know the current state of Venezuela.
Well, let me just tell you, we'll make another point on this, just a final one. I know people are going, come on, TK, talk about something else. I didn't even scratch the surface. Let me tell you, I want you to listen to this. This is Victor Davis Hanson. When I keep saying, where are our Catholic conservative intellectuals, I'm looking at a guy like Victor Davis Hanson and going, you're not. You're an ersatz. You're a fake. Because you let your Zionism and you have that capital Judeo-Christian. Remember I told you a long time ago, don't ever say that again. Don't say Judeo. There's a reason for that. You let the Judeo part rule your thinking. That puts you in opposition. You're outside of the Catholic Church now. You're outside of the seat of wisdom, literally the seat of wisdom. Our Lady is said as Mater Dei sedes sapientia ora pro nobis, Our Lady's seat of wisdom. Pray for us. She is the seat of wisdom for a reason, because her son is the incarnate wisdom. You have to listen to this, and I'm going to explain something to all of you. And look, I'm going to say it again. I want the Trump administration, Trump 2.0, to succeed massively. I really do. And maybe I have selfish reasons for that. That's okay. People like this are basically guaranteeing you're going to fail. Listen to this.
Get rid of that regime, all good things happen. Because then you have no foreign influence. Or who is supplying the Iranians with all these drones and missiles? North Korea, China, Russia. Russia has already lost Syria. That was good. If we get rid of Iran, China will have no proxy there. And there will be no money for Hezbollah and Hamas and the Houthis. And then the Israelis can take care of them at their ease. They will cease to exist. So that is another thing that he wants to do. Get rid of Cuban. If you get rid of the communist government in Cuba, and they deserve it, what they've done, and Iran, and you got rid of Maduro, these are not just haphazard. They're all aimed at a larger goal to diminish the influence of China, to break up this nexus of North Korea, Russia, and China, which is the cause of all our problems, and to demonstrate to the Chinese, you better not fool around with the United States, given what we've done. We're not the United States that has DEI and drag shows at Pentagon at military bases, and we're not running away like we did in Afghanistan. This is a new military.
This is can I just have the audience's attention for just humor me for 3 more minutes? Alexander the Great tried to take over the world and reshape it in his own image and get rid of the Cubas and Chinese and Irans of the day. He failed. You might have heard of this guy named Napoleon. Napoleon said, no, France is going to rule all of Europe. Or there was this place called Waterloo. He failed. You might have heard of this guy named Stalin. Soviet communism is going to rule the world. It is going to rule the world. Stalin failed. Every attempt to run the world from one central location has failed. Rome failed to rule the world. Every attempt to rule the world has failed. And it doesn't come down to how big your military is and how many bombs you have. It ultimately comes down to people. And you cannot have this fantasy that somehow all the world's people want to live in California and they want to have surfer girls and California dreaming. That is just not true. So you have this. This is diluted. This thinking is diluted. So and then Trump's going to topple this, and then topple that, and then topple this, and then topple that. You're making people like Putin maybe think that, well, maybe I ought to get my nukes on standby. You ain't toppling me. You're making people like Xi Jinping go like, you think you're on top of me? You're not toppling me. I'll find another way to get a communist detainer. This bravado here that somehow MAGA has now devolved into Trump toppling the leaders of Earth, and that somehow makes us better as a result? What the hell are these people?
Well, it's ridiculous. Like, when you lay it out, you really hear how ridiculous it is. The idea that we're going to go around toppling everyone who's a borderline enemy of ours, there will be new enemies. And your point about Putin and nukes is very true. I've wondered that. Like, if I was Vladimir Putin right now, I'd be looking around going, oh, no, we're not giving an inch. I'll blow you up before I'll let you come back.
Absolutely.
And there were these jokes of, like, well, Trump went in and got Maduro, and then Zelensky got up there and he was like, I know which dictator you should go get next. Even Donald Trump knows there's a very big difference between going in and getting Maduro and getting Putin. But do the neocons realize that if you go into another sovereign nation and you just take their leader, that's a problem? Like, I think the Maduro thing has sort of blinded people to the fact that it's still a big risk when you go into a sovereign nation and abduct their leader and their first lady.
Unbelievable. And this guy is an intellectual thought leader. An intellectual thought leader. Everyone wants to have VDH on their podcast. Why? What happened to make? What happened to America first? What happened to make America great again? I did not sign up for. I didn't campaign for. I didn't go through all that we went through in 4 years with Biden, and I didn't vote for Trump for this. I simply didn't, and I know I'm not alone, and I know there are tens of millions of people that are thinking the exact same thing today. It is you know what? But they own the media. The Zionists and their Jewish backers own the media. That's right, I said it. You know, the telltale, to me, we're going to wrap it up on this. The telltale is the dismissal of Tucker Carlson from an intellectual standpoint as someone that has lost its way because he was demanding you go back to making America great again. That's your telltale. You know, that guy probably got a few 100,000 million, along with Charlie, millions of young people out to vote for this president. And now they voted for the guy that's like talking about you're going to you're going to have a draft now if you don't get your way with your airplanes, and you're going to go into a land war, another one in Asia. You're going to lose. You lost the last one. You're going to lose this one too. This is not what people voted for. This is not what people want. And look, you need the support of a nation to go to war. The Iranians didn't attack us. I don't care how long the neocons say that they attacked us. And then you have this. This is just madness. And again, I know I sound like a broken record. Chinga, you used the term madness so many times today. You're right. I have used the term madness. You're going to turn, you know what? You had a chance to win all those young conservative men over to Republicans and Republicanism for a long time, for probably the rest of their lives. I don't think this is helping your cause. Magdalene, you know these young conservative men. I don't think that those men that we have been talking about, I don't think that they're rah-rahing this. Are they?
Men aren't either. Like, usually when a Republican does something that is very unpopular amongst Republicans, at least the left is like pretends to support it. That's not happening either. There's no audience for this war. And I just don't get it. Like, if you look at young left-wing boy Twitter or Discord or anything, they're all horrified too. So who exactly are you making happy? If your only goal is making Lindsey Graham happy, you are succeeding.
And then finally, the Paramount purchase could revive excellence in Hollywood. This is Brooke Brandigan. Paramount CEO David Ellison understands that pro-American films and television are worth investing in. That may be true, and they want Warner Brothers was sold to Paramount Skydance in a $110 billion acquisition deal. This now means that Paramount Skydance owns Warner Brothers. This now means that you have a central control now of formerly 3 separate media entities. Now, Tom Cruise is one of the founders of Skydance. So, say what you want about Tom Cruise. He makes pretty good American fare. And you say this may lead to something. The problem was the size of the entertainment conglomerates to begin with. That was the problem. You know, the American public is hungry for a decent television show where they don't have to sit through F-bombs every 3 seconds. For example, I watched this show. I kind of like it, actually. It's called Tracker. And it's basically like Tracker's in its 2nd season now. And now that they've reintroduced Jensen Ackles as Tracker's brothers, basically this is season 16 now of Supernatural. Because the dialogue between Tracker and Jensen Ackles is the dialogue between Sam and Dean Winchester. And I actually like it. I like brotherly kind of dialogue here. And if they can keep the F-bombs out of it and the trannies and the homos, they may be on to something. What Americans actually want and what they actually need is Simon and Simon Magdalene. We need Magnum PI. We need James Rockford. We do not need these tough, gritty HBO send-ups of these cops that spend their lives doing drugs and busting drug dealers who have armies of people that have like a 5-word vocabulary, and F, S, and GD are 4 of those words. So my view of the entertainment world and where it is today is like these are all self-inflicted wounds. You could correct all of them if you wanted to, and good American people would reward you with their eyeballs again. I don't think mergers and acquisitions gets it done.
Well, it doesn't. And you mentioned like HBO shows. So a show like The Pit, which is that medical drama.
Horrible.
I watched a couple episodes of it because I was like, well, what's the big deal about it? And I think that at any other time in history, it would be seen as like, okay, like not great, but okay. But because the bar is so low, it's winning like all the awards. They're talking about it like it's The Sopranos, like it's this brilliant discussion of society. And I was watching it last night, and I was like, it's okay. It's like a cable news, like medical drama. It's decent. It's well done. But the idea that it's a cinematic masterpiece, that it's genius writing, I just don't understand.
Well, you know why they said that? Because in the 2nd episode, they aborted the baby of a 13-year-old girl whose parents objected.
Yeah.
That's why they said that.
Yeah. So, like, they do this thing where I've read about this. It's a purposeful thing the left does. They find a white, older male who fits the archetypes of traditional conservatism and how he should look and act. And then they have him do liberal things, like approve of abortion or affirm gender-affirming care, whatever it is. Because it's like their sick fantasy of getting white conservative men to say liberal things, and then they give awards for it.
Yep.
It's a very strange, perverted world.
That is exactly what they did. All right, Magdalene, thank you very much. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. I want to just hear what JD is talking about, Maggie, really quick, and then we'll roll out.
Our brother. And that was JD Vance of Vice.
Okay, you know why? They you know, okay. The Vice President of the United States was speaking, and he was a firefighters union, and apparently he was acting all firefightery and make America great again. And so the people in charge of Fox News just cut him off in the middle of a word. Oh, my. Well, that's everything you need to know about what's going on today, folks. Hey, the brand new MikeChurch.com, the Red, White, and Dude Nation. You guys are basically now, all of you are our soft launch beta testers. So go bruise and beat up the site. If you have a dude number, go to MikeChurch.com, and I will make this forward when the show is over in a couple of minutes. You go to MikeChurch.com/dude. That'll take you to the dude number page, and you can take the dude number census. If you ever had a dude number, claim it. We want you to claim it. There are 8,000 people out there that had dude numbers, and we want all of them to claim their dude number. So there is a form there. It takes about 30 seconds to fill it out, claim your dude number. That's one thing. Make sure you then click on whatever season it is you want to start getting caught up on of the Mike Church Show, because there are 11 of them. Visit the podcast.mikechurch.com. That is the big thing in media. No individual show has gone through and done what we have done, which is to put this show in the form, this radio show, in the form that most people are now used to consuming that media in, and that is by season. It was a massive undertaking of a task, and it's still ongoing. If you want to volunteer to help, send me an email, KingDude@MikeChurch.com. But MikeChurch.com is back, bigger than ever, and there's a lot of stuff that's already been added there, and there's a lot more stuff coming. The Dude Gear store is coming back. And we'll tell you all about that. There are new membership levels that are coming to your membership service. Again, slow rollout on this stuff. We'll tell you all about that. But go make yourself familiarized with the site at MikeChurch.com again, and go test out that podcast. And by the way, the podcast now service, for all of you that have asked for this for 10 years, 11 years, guess what it does? Make sure you're logged in, play an episode from any year, and then stop it. Leave the site, go somewhere else, come back tomorrow or 2 days later, go back to that episode, refresh the page, hit the play button, it'll start where you left it. Incredible. You can build your own playlist with using the little heart buttons and saying these are the episodes I like. Then you go to your playlist. I don't like that one. I don't like Mike on that one. Click the heart button. It's gone. Those are all things that are now possible at podcast.mikechurch.com, and it's going to be epic. And again, it's going to remove the tech from you getting the content, especially after the fact, that you want. And that was our commitment, and that was our goal when we started this project on January the 5th of this year. So check it out, mikechurch.com. Now, look, don't worry. If you want to still get your podcast from your podcast player, they're still there. They haven't moved. None of the feeds have changed. You want to go to crusadechannel.com every day? Nothing has changed for you. You won't even know we did what we did at mikechurch.com. So no fear, no fret, no muss, no fuss, no worry. Just improvements. You now have an extra domain that you can get the world's greatest talk show content, and very soon entertainment content on as well. So check it out today at mikechurch.com. If news breaks out today, heaven forfend, we shall break in. We'll see you tomorrow here on the feast of St. Dominic of Savio and St. Francis of Rome. Pray for us here. God bless you all, and Mary keep you.
The truth on his side. The liberals can run, but they'll never hide. He's a friend of Mr. Madison as he fights all leftisms. He supports our troops over there, stands up to the kooks from care. He's the KingDude of the nation of Dude. Red, white, and Dude Nation.